And welcome to the Sound Alive Sports Network. We are live at Edmonds Stadium for a district matchup against two Wesco 3A South teams. The home team, the Lake Terrace Hawks, versus the visiting team, the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. Lake Terrace trying to make history tonight, trying to become the first team in school history to ever start a football season 4-0. They've got to get by a very tough Warrior team. We're going to pause right now for the playing of our national anthem. That is the national anthem, and as mentioned just a moment ago, Lake Terrace coming into this game with a record of 3 wins and 0 losses, taking on an Edmonds Woodway team that's been struggling a bit. They got off to a nice start this year with a nice 21-13 victory over the Jackson Timberwolves. Unfortunately for them, they've struggled a bit lately. Steve Willits along with Keith Neely, and Keith, you cover this Edmonds Woodway team a lot closer than I do. What's been going on the last 2 games with this team? They came out of the gate so strong this year, and it just doesn't look like they've had that rhythm the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they did. You mentioned that Lake Terrace may be making history with a win here and starting off with a strong showing. Edmonds Woodway got to go back quite a ways to find a team that would be 1-3 to start a season, and that is certainly a possibility tonight for Edmonds Woodway. And you mentioned a pretty good start in the opener, and after that kind of falling off, and it's largely been not due to talent. They've got plenty of talent. You look up and down this roster, and we'll get to the players themselves in a moment, but it's stacked with some very good football players. And the problem, I think, has been largely a discipline issue, not because of coaching staff or anything like that, but like I guess number one on the docket, if you go to evidence, would be the 200 yards of penalties they racked up against Lake Terrace a week ago. So 8 turnovers in the last 2 contests, averaging 150 yards of penalty yards against them in the last couple of contests. So you're not going to win a lot of football games with either one of those hanging on you.
No, not a good recipe for success right there. And we should also mention last week was their first conference game of the season. Losing to Meadowdale was huge. If you fall into an 0-2 hole here tonight, you still have a very, very tough Glacier Peak team on your schedule. 3 losses, and you're probably not going to make the playoffs this year.
Very tough. So already sitting to a second game of the regular season, you've got to have in the back of your head, I know the coaching staff certainly does, a must-win situation.
And we are ready to play a squib kick coming from Edmonds Woodway, fielded at the 27-yard line and kneeling on it very quickly. For the Hawks is Garrett McDowell, number 10.
E-Dub won the toss but elected to defer, which is a bit different. Trying to set up their defense right out of the hole here.
And the very interesting thing about that, too, is that Lake Terrace this season, their first 2 weeks were very interesting. In both games, they won the toss, went down, scored a touchdown. Both of those games, they tried an onside kick, converted it, and then went down and scored again. When they played Mariner and they played Meadowdale, both teams were down by double figures before they even got the ball. Lake Terrace likes to have that ball first, and Mikey Jensen, the quarterback, taking it right up the middle and not finding much room to run, might have picked up a yard.
Very, very solid through the middle are the Edmonds Woodway Warriors in the linebacking core, anchored by Spencer Schultz wearing number 44, and you've also got Xander Hall-Spacuza and Tyler Reinford, who we'll talk about on offense, right up the middle. And they're pretty feeling pretty good, pretty positive about stopping this Terrace run.
And doing a very nice job of that on the first play, only 1 yard. Jordan Bishop going to take the ball this time, trying to find room along the right-hand side and not finding much room at all. Late penalty flag coming in there, Keith, and running to the far side of the field, so not easy for us to see, but that might have been a face mask as Mountlake Terrace is pointing the other direction.
Ollie Gay, that defensive end on the outside, has had his struggles with the face mask, and then he had one last week that cost him a big third down conversion, turned into a first down for Meadowdale. So it's one of those things that has got to be on the chalkboard for Edmonds Woodway. Bullet points 1 through 9, I think, are let's really limit the flags.
Well, and when you lose a game like they did last week, 28-21, a 7-point differential can be made up very quickly in a matter of just a few penalties. When you're constantly having those yellow hankies thrown against you, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage.
It stops drives if you're on offense, and it really gives an advantage to the offense if you're on D.
44-yard line. Here come the Hawks right now. Riley Morton coming in from the wing position and finds no room along that left-hand side. Might have lost a yard on the play, and guess who?
That's Tyler Reinford. He's one of those guys that is an impact player, but also one of those characters on the team that can really go the other direction. And we mentioned the discipline. Tyler has had some problems jumping off sides too, so there's probably somebody in his ear right now telling him to watch the football.
Looking at that Mountlake Terrace offensive line, left tackle number 70, Trent Brooks. Left guard is number 55, Drew Clippard. Miles Allen, number 71, the center, as the ball goes back to Bishop. Fumbled. Believe Mikey Jensen, the quarterback, may have recovered it. And, in fact, he did. That's going to bring up a 3rd and 12. And to finish off the line, Eli Wilson, number 54, is your right guard. And the big fella, Javante Sims, playing right tackle. Got 2 wingbacks that you play with in the Mountlake Terrace Hawks offense. Number 33, Riley Morton, who carried the ball 2 plays ago. He's wearing the number 33. Jordan Bishop, number 20, at the other wingback. Your 2 receivers are Daniel Johnson. Where's the number 3? And then Yannick Boa, number 7. And Mikey Jensen, the senior, wearing the number 1 and playing quarterback. And Jensen going to get a chance to throw this time. Out into the flat. Nothing doing as Edmonds Woodway waited on that one.
Abdullah Jada, who plays out there on the end, comes right up the line, is not fooled for a moment. Comes right out of the backfield and steps up, and not a single positive play so far for Terrace. The only exception has been the penalty yardage, giving them the first down. So we'll see what they can do here, turning the sticks around.
So this Edmonds Woodway team that has given up 70 points combined in the last 2 weeks, looking strong here early, shutting down a Mountlake Terrace team that is yet to be held under 30 points for a game. And Jensen with the punt.
And on the way, it'll take a Mountlake Terrace bounce down past the 20-yard line. Boy, that thing continuing to drive Edmonds Woodway in their first start. 70 yards,
52 yards.
52 yards. You're better at math
nicely
than
done.
me. I think he started on the 20 there. Okay, so Edmonds Woodway, they pretty much have to watch the guys wearing number 7. They're the impact players for Edmonds Woodway Warriors, led by senior Isaac Jackson wearing number 17. And then we already mentioned Tyler Reinford wearing number 27. 27 is in the backfield, the running back. And he also out on the wing, number 7, David Woodard, an outstanding, very high-leaping receiver. We'll get a lot of the looks downfield. And there's Reinford right off the bat. Will take a step to his right, gets into the pile, and at least some positive yards out of the carry.
Woodard's an interesting guy, too. 11 catches in that first game of the year against Jackson and really hasn't done much since.
Brings up 2nd down and 5 with the ball on the 12-yard line now. We'll get to the starting lineup for this Edmonds Woodway Warrior squad here in just a moment. Single set in the backfield, and there's the handoff, this time going across the middle, off tackle, picking up another 2 yards. Goes Graydon Heron, who has worn the number 18 for the first couple of games, now into his roster slotted number 26. So
apparently that missing jersey must have been found in the hamper somewhere.
Evidently. So a short 3rd down. This will be a keeper and cross the first down mark at the line to get to. Past the 25 to the 26-yard line, and the sticks will move. So far, not quite as advertised. as far as the power running game on offense for the Terrace Hawks seems to be stalled. And then Edmonds Woodway, who struggled to get any kind of offense going at all, as David Woodard with the catch, the intended receiver, makes good on about a 8-yard pass play.
Yeah, unlike Mountlake Terrace on their first drive, Edmonds Woodway not getting them in big chunks right now, but they're just moving that ball up the field, positive yards every play, and might be moving the chains here again in a moment.
And only one penalty so far in the contest. That's got to make Coach John Gradwell feel pretty good. There's the first down across the 40-yard line. Ball was caught by Jalen Nash, the other wideout for this very wide throwing Edmonds Woodway squad. They don't usually go across the middle. If you see a throw, it's going to be downfield or toward the sidelines.
Nash is one of those players, too. He's very good at getting downfield. We've seen that in the first couple of games for Edmonds Woodway. He's a deep threat, and I think that's going to open up that short game for him. Right now, they're going to be able to hit those bubble screens because the Mountlake Terrace defenders, quite frankly, they're worried about him getting behind him.
Nash now will go in motion. You've got Woodard on the far side here. He'll get the reverse. That's Nash. Jalen with the little receiver sweep to the near side, picks up 6 yards.
Yeah, the old fly sweep when you've got a shorter receiver who's quick like that. Get the ball in his hands and let him do his thing, and he's doing a nice job so far.
On offense, on that front line, Matt Rutz on the left tackle, Logan Lambert, the left guard, Reed Friday.
That was almost intercepted.
Almost picked off.
Javante Sims getting his hands on that ball at the line of scrimmage, and boy, I think number 27 there, that was Anthony Gomez. His eyes got big as he had visions of maybe taking that one the other way. Unfortunately for Gomez and fortunately for Isaac Jackson, the ball hits the turf before he can get to it.
Brings up 3rd down and 5. Go back to the starting lineup. Reed Friday is under center. Cameron Vogel, the junior, wearing number 50 at right guard. Isaac Pereira, number 66 at right tackle. Reed Whitson, one of the wide receivers. Isaac Jackson, we mentioned. And now here comes Reinford. And 3rd down may make the original line of scrimmage. And now it'll be interesting to see what Coach Gradwell, who has a penchant for going on 4th down anytime you're north of the 50. This time you're just a little shy. You decide to go for it, and he will.
Very interesting call here early on to try to keep the ball out of the Mountlake Terrace offensive hands and see if he can pick up a first down.
That's the reputation, and it holds. And now we'll bootleg out to the right-hand side. Jackson looking downfield. He'll have to tuck it under. Gets one block, picks it in near the line to get, and I do not think he will get it.
Now they're marking him at the 40.
Sure
marking
are.
Forward progress at the 48 and a half. He's got it.
That's generous.
I'd like to see that one again. It was very close. I think you're right, though. It was, at the very least, I think I would have put it closer to the marker. It might have been a measuring situation, but in a play like that, tie goes to the runner, so to speak, and give Gradwell a lot of credit for being bold enough to go for it, and give Jackson credit for making sure to get that much.
Well, he knew he had to have that really hard pop at the end. Here's Reinford into the pile, 2 deep, 3 yards. And now firmly into Mountlake Terrace territory with the ball marked down at about the 44-yard line. So Edmonds Woodway looking very content, very, very careful, prodding just a little bit perhaps at this Terrace defense to see what they're made of, but the drive is still alive.
And they're just grinding it down the field, keeping that defense on the field and wearing them down, and that's when it starts to pay dividends later in the game if they can keep doing this.
5:14 on the clock. The pitch out now to the left-hand side. Maybe 2 yards on the Abdullah Jada pitch. Jada will indeed be given a yard, and that will bring up 3rd down.
Get some of these defensive players in here from Mountlake Terrace, too. They run a 3-4 defense. Up front, number 54, Eli Wilson is your left end. Your nose tackle is number 72, Javante Sims. Your right end, number 53, Chase D'Alba. Your linebacking core in the middle, you've got Connor Loyals, number 60, and Tanner Munnis, number 2. And then on the outside, you've got Mikey Jensen, number 1, and Jordan Bishop, number 20.
There's the play action. Fumble on the play, and it will be a Terrace recovery at the 40-yard line inside Edmonds Woodway territory. It was a mixed handoff. It looked to me as if Tyler Reinford went to the left and the quarterback turned to his right. And they just couldn't quite make the handoff, and it immediately hit the turf.
Yeah, and that's
first
one of the
turnover of the ball game.
And I'm not even sure Jackson ever had it cleanly coming out of center either, for that matter. Ball hit the turf pretty quickly, and all of a sudden there was a scramble there. And give Drew Clippert, the big fella, a lot of credit. He was the one that rushed down there and dove on it, and gives Mountlake Terrace the ball in great field position. Already on the Edmonds Woodway 42-yard line, best field position they've had all night so far. All it took was a turnover.
And we'll see if they can get some positive yards on an offensive play now.
So Mikey Jensen in at quarterback. Tanner Munnis in the backfield with him. He's going to keep it himself. Looking for room out to the left, puts his shoulder down, and barrels ahead for a gain of 2. And that is Mikey Jensen's style of football right there. We joke a lot that he's essentially a linebacker playing quarterback, and that's exactly what he does. He just puts that shoulder down, and he figures if there's no space there, he's going to at least make something positive out of it, and picks up 2.
And you saw the linebacking core we mentioned for Edmonds Woodway. Spencer Schultz in pursuit. Drove him right into Hall Spakuza, who made the tackle 2 yards deep, and we're going to have a lot of activity out of those 2 young men tonight.
So 2nd and 8, and it seemed like 2 weeks ago when I called that Kamiak Edmonds Woodway game, we called Spencer Schultz's name a lot. Number 44, always around the ball. Jensen takes the snap, looking downfield, pump fakes, throws it down the right-hand sideline. Intercepted.
And past the end line, they'll try to return it out, which is not legal in high school sports. Although in Madden, you might get away with that.
Well, it looked as though his knee might have almost gone down, too, as that was Noah Becker on the interception.
Well, Noah Becker, I think, Becker got into the end zone, and once you're back in there deep, you're not bringing it back out. So they will give him the touchback. That didn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because you should be able to. And again, I know and I'm not saying he did go down. I think the referee might have perceived him to go down. It looked like the leg was kind of slipping out from underneath him. And then again, maybe it is if you come out of the end zone and then go back in, because his momentum carried him in, and I think that's where the referee decided to make that call.
Not a referee. Not me. We may have to appeal.
What a hit. Fumble.
A giant hit and another loose ball.
Tanner Munnis stepping up from his middle linebacker position and just putting a pop on somebody there and forced that ball out. Fortunately, if you're a Warrior fan, this was not the second turnover of the game.
Reinford looking down at his left leg there and kind of tugging at his pant leg. So I'm not sure if he got tied up with somebody or perhaps got a helmet to the knee.
I think he might have gotten a whole lot of Tanner Munnis on that play.
I think exactly what he got.
Munnis just came in there like a torpedo and just popped him one.
An I formation in the backfield. And now we've got penalty flags. And it looked like we had a Terrace Hawk in the neutral zone. And they will mark it off.
Yeah, you do a nice job of stopping them for a 1-yard gain on the first place, and then on the first play, and then you give 5 yards right back. And we saw Edmonds Woodway do that earlier on a defensive drive. Now we're seeing it from the Mountlake Terrace standpoint. This is a game where points are going to be at a premium. You don't want to give away yardage, and that's exactly what the Hawks are doing here.
Jackson runs the call in from the sideline, and now we'll put a similar formation. With that I formation, there's the counter play action. Now the throw into Nash is caught for the first down.
Give Nash a lot of credit on that play, too. I don't think that's quite the pass that Jackson wanted to throw. If he can give Nash just a little more space, keep him on his feet, maybe he can do something with it. Jalen doing a nice job of going down low to get that ball.
Making the sure-handed catch. Nothing fancy. Give your team the first down. 2:15 to go here, first quarter on the Sound Live Sports Network. Reinford will get the bulk of the carries for the Warriors, and this time we'll tack on a yard, 2nd and 9. And the Terrace Hawks seeing that inside handoff very well all of a sudden.
They're adjusting to it now. That's what you want to see out of your team. The first few plays, you kind of get a feel for what the other team's doing. Edmonds Woodway winning the trenches on that first drive, and now Mountlake Terrace seems to be getting some push.
Back to pass and overthrowing the intended receiver on the play, David Woodard. And you'll see Woodard try to outkick the defenders through the middle, and that was one of those rare times he actually threw right down over the middle.
And we didn't get a chance to mention the defensive backs for Mountlake Terrace on that last drive. Anthony Gomez, number 27, and Luke Thurber, number 9, at the corners. And you've got the Johnson cousins playing safety.
Big third down, back to pass, letting everybody through. Jackson is going to have to go the other way. Delayed screen. They finally are able to get the ball to Reinford. It will not pick up the first down. It'll be fourth down again, and this time even a little more distance between the mid-stripe on the field and the fourth down, go for it kind of style that Coach Gradwell
apparently we know where his limit is now. I was on the 47 before, and he was willing to go for it. Well, I take that back. He's going to go for it again here on the 40. Boy,
all right.
Very interesting here.
Already 1 for 1 on fourth down. 4 yards to go to the line to get. 4th and 4. You'll probably try a hard count here once. You may end up calling. You don't have time to get the quarter break. There's the pass now. It's Nash. He's got the first down and a couple more yards. So 2 for 2 on fourth down.
Great job by Nash for running that route, by the way. He put the brakes on and came back to it, and Anthony Gomez, the corner, just locked up his legs, went right to the turf. Could have been a disaster for Lake Terrace. Fortunately for Gomez, he was able to get back. Unfortunately for him, Nash picks up the first down.
Well, and Nash, again, one of those worm burner plays, had to go way down off the shoe tips to make the catch, and sure-handed does just that. And now we have a timeout on the field. We'll take a break ourselves on the Sound Live Sports Network. No score, 42 seconds remain in the first quarter. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Keith Neely and Steve Willits up top in a very nice crowd. Not quite the stadium jam that we had last week between the crosstown rivals Edmonds Woodway and Meadowdale, but crosstown rivals still.
Boy, and always a good game when Edmonds Woodway and Meadowdale get together. You had a barn burner last week and 2 overtime games the previous 2 years, so that one's always fun, and we might have a similar game here now.
First down and 10. They'll hand the ball right off to Tyler Reinford. This time a little more distance between the first down marker. Now to midfield. Edmonds Woodway will, for the third time, be into Terrace territory if they're able to get a yard here.
Nice job by Javante Sims, Andrew Clippert making the tackle in that play.
Probably the last play of the quarter. And they're going home run ball over the top. There's Woodard, goes up and catches the ball at the 15 and finally drugged down at the 11. And that's what happens when you allow a tall receiver to get behind the defensive backs.
Well, not only to get behind him, but really Riley Morton had plenty of opportunity to get back to that ball. Isaac kind of floated it a little bit. Give Woodard a lot of credit for the concentration and bringing that ball in.
Able to get up to the apex of the catch there and jump up and catch an underthrown ball. And now it's first down and 10 to go. There is room to get the first down once again, and they may have gotten it on one play. That will be a yard short, and that will be the quarter break. So Edmonds Woodway putting together 2 pretty good drives, one stalled by a turnover. The second one, still do not know the result, and we will come back for quarter number 2 in just a moment. On the Sound Live Sports Network, still no score between Mountlake Terrace and Edmonds Woodway. Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Big game ahead of this one on the early 5 o'clock game, 45-0. It was the Glacier Peak Grizzlies over the Meadowdale Mavericks.
How's this for a stat, by the way? Through the first quarter, Edmonds Woodway 104 yards, Mountlake Terrace -10.
Wow, not expected at all. And right now, I don't know. We kind of talked a little bit during the commercial break about what did John Gradwell tell his squad during practice this week. but it's paid dividends, whatever it was.
I have a feeling it was whatever he said. It was not in the form of a whisper. I have a feeling John was pretty upset, and he let his players know about it. It was not Edmonds Woodway football the last 2 weeks, quite frankly.
I formation. Woodard on the far side, Nash on the near side. There's the play action to the fullback. Now Reinford will get it. He's near the end line. We're awaiting the call. There it is. Touchdown, Edmonds Woodway.
That's textbook rushing right there. Reinford getting stopped initially right around the 1 yard line, kept the legs pumping, pushed his own way into the end zone, gets the 6 points.
Reinford on a 2-yard dive picks up his second TD in as many games. And now the attempt at the PAT is Jake Stevenson will come in to see if he can put this Edmonds Woodway up by one full score. And the snap, hold, and kick is up, and it is good. 7-0. Edmonds Woodway strikes first, and we will see what the answer is when we come back on the Sound Live Sports Network. 7-0 Edmonds Woodway.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
A couple of very good drives put together by Edmonds Woodway, and now Lake Terrace. And for the call here is Steve Willits, voice of the Hawks.
And this will be very interesting for the Hawks. This is not a position they're used to being in this year, as they've been known early and often to jump on their opponents through the first 3 games. Again, we mentioned it earlier. Those first 2 games, their opponent was down by double figures before they even went on offense. So for them to be down 7-0 in the second quarter, this is going to be gut chuck time for them, and this is where they need to perform. Waiting for the kick, number 3, Daniel Johnson, as well as number 33, Riley Morin. Stevenson once again going to kick it on the ground. All Anthony Gomez can do is fall on it, and for the second time in as many kickoffs tonight, the Hawks not getting great field position off that squib kick.
No return right up the middle. And that's, I would say, that looks like they had scouted Terrace in their return game, but that's exactly what they did against Meadowdale a week ago.
It's just the way in which they operate, and it works for them.
Just like to put their defense on the field without any threat.
Certainly Mountlake Terrace with a lot of depth back there, a lot of great players to return that ball. Riley Morin with a huge punt return for a touchdown last year against Glacier Peak, and Daniel Johnson's got some wheels too. Mikey Jensen's going to take the snap, looking for room up the middle, and this time finds a little bit of a gap right over his center, is able to push his way forward for possibly 3 yards. It's going to bring up, now they're going to actually spot him down for a 5-yard gain, make it a 2nd and 5 coming up. And this is where the Hawks need to get something going. We mentioned it a minute ago. Negative 10 yards on offense in the first quarter. Don't know too many teams that can do that through 4 quarters and come away with a victory.
Mighty tough, and right now Edmonds Woodway looking very, very strong on the running game defensively.
2 backs there. That's Jordan Bishop in the backfield with Jensen. Bishop's going to take the handoff, looking for some room off of left tackle, and found a little bit. They will give him momentum up into the 30-yard line, so we're looking at a 3rd and 3.
Ollie Gay, big defensive end, 6'9", 235, 6'5", 235, the junior. And that's a mighty big boy to come into contact with.
Yeah, when you look at that Edmonds Woodway defensive line there with Gay and some of the other players there, there's definitely some size there. I mean, we talked about it before. It's not as though this team is lacking talent. They have it. It's just a matter of putting it together. And they're going to be a tough team to run on for this Hawk team tonight, and we're seeing that early on here in the game as Jensen this time dropping back to pass, finds one of his favorite receivers, Daniel Johnson. Johnson pushed out of bounds at the 35-yard line after a 5-yard gain, and a huge, crucial first down for Mountlake Terrace. You
get them when you can, and sometimes all it takes is one thing going right. Let's get one first down. Let's start there and get a march on. And when things start to click, that momentum can feel mighty sweet when you're down there on the field.
Well, and this is gonna challenge the Hawks a little bit. They've only thrown 27 passes this year. They've been very efficient with their passing. They've only thrown one interception and complete 66% of their passes. But it's been more of a luxury for them, as the running game generally is where they get most of their yards. Jensen right up the middle this time, another quarterback keeper. Gets a 5-yard gain. However, there is a penalty marker down on the 35-yard line on the far side of the field by the sideline over by the Mountlake Terrace bench.
Edmonds Woodway stacked the left-hand side there, so an outstanding job by the quarterback to read that and run left. But it was a false start.
Illegal procedure on Mountlake Terrace, so that's going to not only wipe away a 5-yard gain, that's going to push you back 5 yards further from the original line of scrimmage. And once again, picking up a penalty early on in a drive, and it's not the way you're going to be pushing this Edmonds Woodway team around. You might be able to get away with that on other teams, but anytime you make it a 1st and 15 situation or a 2nd and long after a nice gain because of a penalty flag, it's just going to make it that much more difficult on your line, on your running backs, and we're already seeing it. This is an Edmonds Woodway team. They fly around. They're not going to give you big yardage, so if you're going to have to go back and regroup and gain that much more yardage, you're going to be in for a long night.
And there's a
Jensen's going to keep the ball this time, running off to the left. He gets a little bit of space and is finally brought down at the 38-yard line. Gain of 8 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 7. Nice little play action fake right up the middle there. He faked the dive to one of his running backs. That might have been Tanner Munnis, and Jensen just keeps it himself. Maybe even a read option for that matter. Picks up some nice yardage.
You talked about how difficult it was to rebound from penalties. You reminded me of myself a week ago. I think I said that about 19 times.
Well, for both teams, right?
200 yards of penalties racked up by Edmonds Woodway. You're not going to win a lot of games.
No, not at all. And Mountlake Terrace, they're trying to push for that early here. Not quite that many, but still. Jensen drops back to pass, looking for Johnson one more time. Same play as before, finds him out in that right flat. Johnson making the catch, getting ahead to the 47-yard line, a gain of 9. And another Mountlake Terrace Hawks first down.
And why not? I mean, I'd go back to that again and again if they're going to keep giving you such soft coverage. Noah Becker over there, the defensive back, 6 foot, 170 pounds, only a sophomore.
Well, and
was definitely backpedaling.
We talked about this a little bit when Edmonds Woodway was on offense. Same deal with Jalen Nash. Daniel Johnson comes into this game averaging 24 yards a catch. Edmonds Woodway knows that. They've seen the game footage. They know that he's a deep threat. They're giving him those short plays right now, and it's led to 2 first downs. Jordan Bishop with the ball, trying to find a little room up the middle, and finds a whole swarm of Warriors. Gets a little bit, but not much. Might have picked up 3 yards just past midfield into Edmonds Woodway territory.
Spencer Schultz, the senior, on the coverage there, is the first man to get the running back. 5'9", 190 pounds, plays more like he's 6'1", 210. A stocky dude.
He really does. I mean, he's got a little bit. I've never talked to him, so I don't know who he patterns his game after. But a little bit of Ray Lewis to him. Really, he's a shorter, stockier, quick middle linebacker, and just gets around there and makes plays. 2nd and 7 coming up for the Hawks. Mikey Jensen. This is a designed running play from the get-go. Fights through the first line of tacklers and gets ahead for another huge first down. Jensen just keeping his legs churning that time. Enough to move those markers one more time here for the Hawks.
And when you're strong safety and free safety, you have to break coverage to come back to make the tackle. You know you have given up some yardage. Max Gradwall out of the slot in the safety. Had to come out of cover 2 and come right up and meet the running back, or the quarterback in this instance.
So Jensen doing what he's done all season long, putting the game on his shoulders when the teams needed him most. Keeping those chains going right now. 2 first downs via passing, now 1 from the run. Hand off to Bishop. Bishop trying to find room in the middle and doesn't find much. Started off on the fly sweep, trying to find room out to the right-hand side. Wasn't much there. Cut it back into the middle and was met by a couple of Warriors.
And that was a good defensive play on those front 3 guys, the front 4 guys, getting through the line, fighting off blocks, and getting 2-3 yards deep in the backfield. Because that play develops, it has any time at all, and Terrace has a much different outcome. But Edmonds Woodway was in the backfield before it could even really develop or even begin.
So 2nd and 8 coming up for the Hawks at the Edmonds Woodway 40-yard line. They trail 7-0 right now, looking to potentially tie this game up. 7:05 to go here in the first half. And we have penalty markers thrown. I believe we might get a delay of game. No, we're going to get a timeout from Mountlake Terrace. And with that, we will take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
And welcome back to Edmonds Stadium. 7:04 remaining in the first half. The Edmonds Woodway Warriors leading the Mountlake Terrace Hawks 7-0 in a game which is pretty much nothing but grinded out so far. Keith Neely is
very quick game. I mean, it feels like we just started. The opening kick and the national anthem were about 3 minutes ago.
We'll have to.
And I think maybe 3 pass plays. If I've counted correctly, I want to say 3, if not 4 pass plays.
It hasn't been very many. We'll get
4.
the stats up here at the next break, but I know the Hawks have thrown, I think, 4 on their own because Daniel Johnson has a few, but
okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been very many, and this game is moving right along. If you've got 10 o'clock dinner reservations, you might still make them. Jensen looks to throw down to the left sideline, looking for Bua on the play, overthrown. It's going to fall incomplete and bring up a 3rd and 8.
A little bit of a pocket out there on the flat on the far side between the cornerback who had given up coverage to the safety. So not a bad play call. There was certainly distance there, just overthrown.
Well, interesting that he dropped back as far as he did on that play, Mikey Jensen. Usually we see him throwing on a 3-step or 5-step drop. Really faded back about 8 or 9 yards and just makes it that much more difficult to complete. See what that play looks like if they try it again in the future here.
Big 3rd down now.
Looking at 3rd and 8, the Hawks in that wing tee. They've got Jordan Bishop going in motion right now. Tanner Munnis lead blocking for Mikey Jensen. Jensen looking for space. A penalty marker is thrown as Jensen is pushed out of bounds right around the 35-yard line.
Yeah, I think I saw a hold in the interior on the play action, and that's exactly what we have. And that'll hurt you.
And that's going to bring it back. And that's interesting call here for Edmonds Woodway. If you wanted to take the call, which more often than not I don't think you would see teams do this, but it would, in fact, bring up a 4th and 3, 4th and 4. But rather than give Mountlake Terrace the option of possibly going for it with short yardage, Gradwell's going to go ahead and just say, you know what, why don't you guys try 3rd and 20-ish and see what you can do with that.
I don't really think it's much of a decision to make.
I think if you were looking at a higher level, maybe in the NFL, you might look at that and consider the fact that nobody's really looking to go for it at the 40-yard line, and they probably would kick it. But at this level, we've already seen Gradwell go for it twice in his own territory. Mountlake Terrace, certainly with that ball at the 35, I think they would have gone for it as well. Instead, they're looking at officially now 3rd and 19.
Well, and you haven't seen Terrace really go over the top yet. So until they prove that, I think you're going to feel that you're pretty comfortable going in between.
Let's see if we get that right here as Bishop once again goes in motion. Going to throw a screen pass. That's Daniel Johnson catching it at the 47, immediately looking to get downfield. Motors ahead to the 38-yard line. Going to be well short of that 1st down marker, but he did, in fact, pick up 11 yards. It's going to bring up a 4th and 8 for the Hawks, and I guess we're going to see what decision they want to make now. Decision time for Mountlake Terrace. You're kind of at that point of no return right now. You're almost too close for the punt. Or you're too far away for a field goal. You're almost getting to the point where you're too close to punt.
Well, and you kind of feel in a groove with the running game. You've been able to get 8 yards a couple of times, especially with the keeper, quarterback keeper. I think if you're trying to go up the middle, it's not a good idea.
On a 4th and 6, that's a tough call to make. We'll see what they've got here right now. Mikey is the punter, though, too, so he could quick kick it if he wants. He's going to throw it, though, looking towards that right sideline. Guess who? Daniel Johnson cuts it back in, still on his feet, and finally brought down at the 22-yard line. A nice gain of 16 yards for the Hawks. And they are on the move here with 5:47 to go here in the second quarter.
Why not? And I said it before. I'll say it one more time. It's soft coverage on the left side, left side of the defense, right side of the offense. And if you get a backpedaling cornerback who's a little bit timid about getting beat deep, you may find a lot of options over there.
Johnson had 3 catches in the first quarter of the first game of the season. Since then, he'd only had 5 catches coming into the night. Getting a lot of work here in the first half against Edmonds Woodway. As Jensen looking to throw.
No, and he lucked out there.
Very lucky. If he puts that one on the mark to Bua, he had Spencer Schultz right in front of his intended receiver, and that one might be going the other way.
And Schultz leaned left, and then as soon as he realized he was in deep trouble, tried to throw right, and Spencer Schultz almost turned and got back there to pick the ball off the other direction. So very good athleticism to be able to turn your body 180 degrees on a dime.
Well, we came back from commercial talking about how much running we were seeing tonight, and ever since then, Lake Terrace looking to pass.
That was my bad.
Well, the Hawks fans might like it. It's worked for them fairly well here in the last couple of minutes. We'll see what they do here as Jensen once again in shotgun formation. Fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, looking for room out to the left, puts his shoulder down and gets ahead to the 19-yard line. Give him a pickup of maybe 4 on the play.
Able to get past the blitzing Abdoulaye Jada. Jada makes that initial hit. There's no gain. But a good job of getting past. Third down, another third down, and Terrace has just been very calm on third downs this drive.
First time in the red zone for them all night tonight. Unfortunately for them, they're also looking at a tough 3rd and 7 play coming up right here. Johnson flanked out to the right, Bua on the left, and the Hawks are going to hand it off up the middle. Getting the ball as Jordan Bishop puts his shoulder down and gets ahead inside the 10-yard line down to the 8. Had me fooled on the play. I was watching, I think that was Munnis that dove up the middle initially, and I couldn't figure out why everybody was so relaxed when their efforts to get him. It's because he didn't have the ball. Jordan Bishop came around as the second player and took that handoff and ran right up the middle for a first down.
An outstanding job by the left side of the offensive line for the Hawks to be able to seal off the first level and then get another level deep and seal off that line, the very dangerous linebacking core, to allow the running back to get around the right side.
Hawks for the first time tonight inside the 10-yard line. 4:12 to go here in the half, looking for their first points of the night. Mikey Jensen, he's going to keep this one. Cuts it back into the middle. Gets ahead to around the 5-yard line. We'll give him a gain of 3 on the play. And Jensen doing a nice job of making something out of nothing, as it looked for a moment there like he might be going down behind the line of scrimmage.
And you know you're in 4-down territory with 2nd and goal to go. So just chew up 1, 2, 3 at a time. Get down there with a couple plays to go, and odds are good. Very, very good for a high school team at the goal line.
Especially when you've got a running team and a team that likes to pound it the way that the Hawks do. See what Jensen does right here. He has Munnis in the backfield with him. Shotgun formation, takes the snap. Hands the ball up the middle. Touch. No, there's a fumble on the play. Munnis goes into the end zone. They're going to say it was a touchdown.
Looking for the indication, yes, indeed. Across the plane, and I think that's a good call.
Very close on the play as Munnis clearly went into the end zone. It was just a question of did he have the ball as he went across the plane. Ball came flying out towards the 2-yard line. However, I think the ball flew backwards. I don't see a lot of arguing on the part of the Edmonds Woodway Warriors, so perhaps they feel the same way this time around.
I think he broke the plane, took a hit just as he crossed the goal line, and the hit was what popped the ball loose. But, of course, once you're there, past that big wide stripe, that 3-inch stripe on the goal line, you're in.
Munnis coming into the night had 7 carries, 3 of which went for touchdowns. He is definitely the guy they give the ball to when they get around the goal line. He's kind of becoming the master of punching it in from a yard or 2 out, and that's exactly what happened there as the Hawks, with 3:24 left in the half, look to tie the game right now. Jensen on for the PAT. The kick is up, and the kick is good. We are all knotted up shortly before the end of the first half. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. We're knotted at 7 apiece with 3:24 to go in the second quarter of play. Edmonds Woodway will get the ball here. What could be, if they manage the drives like they have in the last couple, the last possession of the first half.
By the way, Keith, we were just handed the stats from John Clippert. That was a 16-play, 77-yard drive for Mountlake Terrace. 16 plays. You talk about keeping the ball out of your opponent's hands.
Onside kick is gathered in by Grayson Fisher, who plays running back and a lot of defensive back on the JV team. Gets to the all-hands call for the defending of the onside kick. So that one not quite as successful as some in games past.
Yeah, and that's an interesting approach to an onside kick, and we've seen Mountlake Terrace do that a few times this year. I think early on in the season they were catching teams off guard with it. Now they're just waiting for it, and by pooching the ball that far up in the air, all the player has to do is simply put out his hand to fair catch it, and you give them the ball past the 40-yard line. So I have a feeling they might be reassessing that as the season progresses and maybe try to do it a little bit differently.
High formation. There's the handoff to Reinford. Gets plenty of distance and into the pile 8 yards deep. And the clock will continue to click toward the end of the first half, down to 3 minutes now. And if they are able to manage this drive, like I mentioned, as they have the first couple of drives they'll get 2 back-to-back possessions. Remember, they deferred the kick at the start of this ball game. There's a throw out on the flat. It's Woodard now. Will turn it up past the 35 and out of bounds. So almost the exact same play that was so successful for the Hawks on that last touchdown drive. A little bit out of the Terrace Hawk playbook there.
When you've got a large receiver like that, if you get him out there one-on-one, if the DB does in fact fall down, he's got room to run, and that's exactly what happened that time. Woodard was able to get past the first defender and had some space.
There's the run out to the left-hand side, and upended almost to the 30-yard line is Reinford.
Boy, Riley Morin on that play. He's 5'10", 165, and just dove low at him and took his legs out from underneath him and did a very nice job of making sure that Reinford wasn't going to get much more than that.
No huddle offense now, 2:34 to go with a 2nd down and 8 coming up. In the shotgun formation is Jackson. Here's a little fly sweep, and having to escape now is Jackson. He'll reverse course and tuck it back up into the pile. And on the scramble on a broken play, what seemed to be a broken play, Jackson wise enough to get forward yards, and we'll bring up 3rd and 3.
Obviously, Edmonds Woodway sees something here. They are going with that no huddle almost every single play right now and just keeping the Hawks back on their heels right now.
And now they'll put Trips on the far side, swing it out to Nash, and has no go just past the 30-yard line. So that'll bring up that 4th down.
No go because of Riley Moore, and he had to make an open field tackle there. If he doesn't make that tackle, Nash has a 1st down, maybe more.
And a timeout. We'll keep it right here on the Sound Live Sports Network. A $1:49 showing up on the clock on the south end zone scoreboard here at Edmonds District Stadium. The late game between the Lake Terrace Hawks and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors, a game that the last couple of years has really been fun to watch for both teams. Very, very interesting football, at least the last 3 seasons.
Well, 2 seasons ago wasn't so much. It was 35-0, and I had to shave my head because of that game. So that year wasn't as good for not only the Hawks but for me either. But, yeah, last year certainly a great game that went right down to the wire. A Mountlake Terrace 66-yard touchdown pass with 1:10 to go. By the way, looking at some stats here, both quarterbacks not throwing a lot, but they're very, very efficient tonight. Jackson right now 8 for 10 for 94 yards. Jensen 5 for 8 for 37. So we mentioned they're not passing a lot, but when they do pass, they're completing a fair amount of those passes, and they're keeping the ball going down the field every time.
Reinford will join Woodard on the far side Twins, and here's Nash in motion now. 4th down, and Nash will try to go around the end, has to retreat and loses yards, and that will be a turnover on downs. And with 1:40 to go, the Hawks get a chance.
He lost yards because of Daniel Johnson, plain and simple. Daniel Johnson was playing way back in the safety position. He was at about the 21, 22-yard line, came through on an all-out sprint, just found a little gap where there was no blockers, flew into the backfield and made a nice open field tackle on Nash. If Daniel Johnson doesn't read that play, the way he does, I think Nash has a first down. So give Daniel Johnson all the credit on that play. And consequently, a minute 38 to go. The Hawks with the ball now. They took a lot of time on that last drive. They don't have that luxury right now as we near the half. Bishop takes the handoff, looks for room into the middle, and gets ahead to the 38-yard line for a gain of 7. Clock continues to tick. The Hawks with 1 timeout remaining. And much like Edmonds Woodway, recognizing the sense of urgency right now, they stay at the line of scrimmage in a no-huddle offense. 1:17 and counting as Jensen takes the snap, fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, looks to go out to the left, then cuts it back into the middle and gets ahead for a first down.
You need the first downs, but at this point in time, I think you're going to need at least one big play. Edmonds Woodway scoring off their one big play of the ball game, the Woodard catch.
And we do have a
Hawks may need one here.
One-on-one situation out here to the right with Daniel Johnson. Let's see if they go to him eventually. They're going to keep it on the ground as Bishop sheds one tackler, almost trips, gets to the outside, looks for the corner, almost finds it as he crosses midfield. Does pick up 8 yards on the play. Actually, we'll make it a 9-yard gain as it's going to be second and short. 46 seconds and counting as the Hawks trying to quickly get back to the line of scrimmage.
Noah Becker, the defensive back over there, a good job. We've kind of been on him a little bit for his soft coverage, but that time able to keep with the block, keep contained, and allow Tyler Reinford the chance at the tackle.
Jensen keeps it himself this time. He's going to move the chains and consequently stop the clock as they need to move those markers down 10 more yards. Just needed a yard. He picked up about 3. 26 seconds to go. Jensen also the field goal kicker. We've seen him kick, I believe his long field goal was his freshman year when he kicked a 47-yarder, so we know he's got a foot. Still about 20 yards out of his range, though, right now, as penalty markers fly with 16 seconds to go.
And that was fortunate because there was a snuffed handoff. The ball hits the turf, and it'll be motion, but better keep the ball and back up a few yards than lose it.
By the way, Keith, as we near the half, we want to invite everyone to stay with us at the half. Our Action Jackson Plumbing halftime report. I know we've got one confirmed guest coming up, and I've been told we might even have a couple others. So stay tuned for some surprises and some fun. We're gonna have a good time right here and talk to a few local athletes in the process, or at least one. Jensen dropping back to pass, looking to throw deep. He's got Daniel Johnson down the right side. Intercepted. Guess who?
And
Interception
Noah
number
Becker.
2 for the day.
And that's why. That's why we've seen the soft coverage. He was well into coverage man-to-man. Knew he had to get back and get turned around to get eyes on that football, and that's exactly what he did. Went right up, grabbed it, like he was the receiver.
Well, and quite frankly, if you're the Lake Terrace Hawks with under 10 seconds to go, 3 now, that's a calculated risk, and you might as well take it. Like you mentioned, you're far enough back to where you need a big play. You're not going to do it by grinding the ball out. You might as well just throw one up there and just see what happens. Worst case scenario just happened, and you still go into the half probably down or tied 7-7.
The only thing now that Edmonds Woodway looking for is a big play, and they will hand the ball off. This time it is a short little fullback dive for 2 yards, and that will indeed wrap up the first half of play. We're knotted at 7. Lake Terrace, Edmonds Woodway. 3A South football, and we've got a half to play. We'll be back with the Action Jackson halftime program in just a moment. Do stick around.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
And welcome back to the Action Jackson Plumbing Halftime Report. Do not adjust your computer screens. No, the Lake Terrace Hawks and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors did not get smaller while we were away. We've got 89er football going on out here, which I just found out the 89er means 8 and 9-year-olds.
That's right.
I thought it was Washington State becoming a state in 1889, so they just called them the 89ers.
Well, whatever you want to believe, Steve. You can take it any way you want.
San Francisco 49ers from the Gold Rush. I thought it was a state thing, but now I know it's 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds, so why not? And whoa, there's a snap over the head of a youngster right there, and good for them to get a little camera action. As we're going to look at some stats here real quick, Keith, and really the tale of two quarters, quite frankly, as we mentioned coming off of the break for the first quarter. At the time, it was Edmonds Woodway 104 yards, Mountlake Terrace -10. Edmonds Woodway still with an advantage, but very slight advantage now. It's now 136 to 107. So really, Edmonds Woodway picking up all the yards in the first quarter, Mountlake Terrace all the yards in the second quarter, and consequently, it's a tie game.
Tie game, and I think you can almost say that Mountlake Terrace held the ball the entire second quarter. It was a very long, well-designed, well-played-out drive. And so, if you can keep your opponent without the ball and you can absolutely dominate 12 minutes of football on the offensive side, you're gonna even stats up in a hurry.
Yeah, and just looking at the breakdown in terms of how they're getting those yards, for Edmonds Woodway, 94 yards passing, which means only 42 yards rushing, and that's a little bit different for them from what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, and one of those plays was the long bomb to Woodard. So I don't see it on there.
Yeah,
I'm looking,
he doesn't have the individual receiving yards, but
okay.
even at that, it wasn't a long pass. I mean, we've seen Isaac's completed 8 of 10 right now, so
it was about 30 yards, maybe 25, 30 yards.
He's only averaging about 12, 13 yards per completion, but again, it goes back to just being efficient. He's not trying to pick up all the yards on one big play. They're just moving the ball down the field. But this is a team that's really relied heavily on Rhineford in that running game so far this year, and they're starting to pick up. I didn't expect to see a 2-to-1 ratio from them in terms of passing yards versus rushing yards.
Oh, and I really didn't either. And, of course, the thing that sticks out in my mind, they talked about at the beginning of the football game, you got to be disciplined. You've got to be smart. You have to keep from beating yourselves and shooting yourself in the foot, like Edmonds Woodway has done in the last two games, and they have not had those problems this game, and right now they're in it. They're tied 7 apiece.
And looking at it from the Mountlake Terrace standpoint, 107 yards of total offense, 70 of which are rushing, 34 passing, so a little bit more characteristic from what we've seen from the Hawks this year. And really, again, a lot of it's Mikey Jensen, 11 carries, 33 yards. He's handed off to Jordan Bishop 7 times for 32 yards, so the two of them getting the bulk of the work. And Jensen, much like Jackson when he's had to throw the ball, he's been efficient. 5 of 9, 37 yards, and 4 of those passes have gone to Daniel Johnson.
I'm just going back to penalties just because you have it in front of you here, and only 1 for Edmonds Woodway. That's surprising to me, and that was the one on the very first drive of the ball game for the Terrace Hawks that extended that drive. Otherwise, it would have been a 4-and-out. So outstanding job. I don't know what they talked about in practice, but you can bet that's etched in a few young men's minds.
They've cleaned it up a bit, as they like to say. Hey, we're going to take another quick break. Our athletes that we thought were going to join us are still not here, so we're still keeping an eye on them and hoping that at least one of them joins us. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. Once again, your score from Edmonds Stadium, the Edmonds Woodway Warriors 7, the Mountlake Terrace Hawks 7. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network Action Jackson Plumbing Halftime Report.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And we are back once again here at Edmonds Stadium, where you couldn't get enough action in the first half. We're giving you more here at halftime. The 89ers from Mountlake Terrace and Edmonds are out on the turf right now, and I've got to think this is a thrill of a lifetime for these youngsters, getting a chance to come out here and watch their heroes, so to speak, if you will. When you're 8 or 9 years old and you're watching high school football on a weekend, those are the kids you look up to and you dream about playing underneath the lights. They're getting to do it right now.
Well, you file that away in your memory banks as a young kid. You remember what that's like. You get out there and you're on the brand new turf and wearing the fancy jerseys and the bright lights that you don't get to see on a Saturday afternoon when I think they regularly play. And this is big for them. Not only that, but it involves the parents in the program. So they're in the stands also watching the program and learning how these two programs develop and work and just indoctrination to the next level. It's wonderful. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout-out to the junior cheerleaders down there on the track also. I don't know if they're 89ers also.
We've got it looks like the Edmonds girls are down there, but hey, look, we've got a guest finally. Where in the heck was Maddie Schultz is with us all of a sudden? So we try to get the microphone loose here.
Let me get this way and we'll do the dance here. The microphone chord dance.
See, I haven't had a chance to talk to Maddie since the whole soccer decision, and it has been a while here. Do we have the cameras rolling yet? So I think the Edmonds Woodway fans know very well who this is. Maddie Schultz, senior at Edmonds Woodway High School. State champion soccer player last year, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're a pro at this. I'm going to let you hold that. You can just make sure you hold it up to your
I'm
mouth.
not hearing
so
it, so I don't know that you got it.
Let's try it again.
There you go.
Good now?
There we
We're
are.
good.
Now we're
Awesome.
on. So, Maddie, you last year as a junior,
Yeah.
we talked to you during actually the same game last year. It was Edmonds Woodway, Mountlake Terrace.
Oh, boy.
You were early on in your soccer season.
Yep.
Junior, you'd already accepted a scholarship offer from North Carolina.
Yep.
Best team in the country, right?
Yeah, as of right now, they are number one.
Well, they always are, it seems like. And then you went out, and you and your team went out and won the state championship. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, talk to us a little bit about your decision this year. You decided not to play soccer your senior year.
I did. It was kind of a hard one, but had a lot of other factors that kind of fell into the mix to make the decision. So I had to give up a few things in order to make a big one.
Now, this is a team you know very well.
Yeah.
Obviously, most of your teammates from last year. You lose one of the top players in the nation. We'll just come right out and say it. That's what you are. And yet the team is doing very well. I mean, have you been able to get out to a lot of their games?
Oh, yeah. We went to the game against Shorecrest, and my best friend happened to score the winning goal. So she's told me she's more than happy to have me not be on the team this year.
Gets more opportunities that way.
Exactly. They love it.
Well, and last year you scored a lot of goals. I know I
Yeah.
think one time we talked to you, you had 5 in a game. This year the defense kind of getting it done. They've only given up, 2 goals, I think, in the last 5 games?
Exactly. Yeah, they've been – I think Bill went to a 4-back, so for the most part, they're killing it back there. But they lost Ashley Fonson for 3 weeks. She has a broken arm, so we'll see how they can do without her. She's a key player.
Broken arms seem to be a common theme for the other night. We had one in the first game tonight with, Drew Tinkstead, the quarterback, broke it earlier this week. But
Yeah, in practice.
can't play soccer or football with those broken arms, I guess.
It's tough. Probably
She's
a little
in a
easier.
sling,
Probably a
so,
little easier
yeah,
in soccer than
exactly.
it is in a handball. It's not going to be a concern.
Well, so we don't get to call your name as much these days, but there's another
Yeah.
Schultz family member out here that we're talking about a lot
I
tonight.
know. He's loving it. He's
Twin brother.
having a great year. He gets to be the senior and the big dog. So he's worked really hard, and he's kind of earned his way, to have a good year.
We were trying to make comparisons to who he reminds. I was trying to make a comparison
boy.
earlier. I said Ray Lewis. Does he ever talk at home about who he likes to emulate? Or
Honestly, he's just kind of a quiet guy. He kind of just keeps to himself. And when it comes down to sports, when it comes to soccer decisions, it kind of seems like that's always the center of attention. And then really, football season, he just gets to go play and do his thing. So for the most part, Friday nights are his big time, and he just loves it.
Not just that, he's one heck of a wrestler.
Oh, my God, yes. I know he loves it. Hopefully he's back to state. He was 8th last year. So hopefully this year he moves up a couple places.
And he's got twin sister urging him on the entire way, right?
Of course.
So now you've decided not to play soccer for the school.
Yeah.
What are you doing to keep yourself in shape right now then? And what are you doing to get ready for college?
I now train with a boys team. They're my boys, I call them. So U17 boys, and they're great. So it's right out of Crossfire still. And then besides that, I just do some private trainings and getting myself in shape.
Have you been back to Chapel Hill in any time?
I leave on the 16th of October for my official visit. So they play Duke. In soccer,
that's one to pick up.
Got to make sure I'm there for it.
So how does that work? You've signed a letter of intent already, correct?
Have not.
You have not, okay.
So I'm graduating early in January. So I will sign my letter of intent November 11th, so early signing day, and then I will be on my way.
And it just seems so much different in this day and age, and you see that in football a lot. We've talked about that. I know Jacob Eason, who's the quarterback at Lake Stevens, going to Georgia early.
Yep.
And if you're a Husky fan, Jake Browning, who's the starting quarterback as a true freshman this year, and a large reason as to why he's able to play so early is because he did graduate in January and was able to play spring ball. Similarities for what you're doing in soccer?
They come in and they're ready to go. They've already been there for a semester. They have it under their belt. And, actually a girl at UW went a semester early for her soccer, and as of right now, she's scoring goals. So for the most part, it's just getting acclimated, getting used to, the college lifestyle and getting into those programs where they're just kicking your butt every day, and then it's no big deal that freshman year.
Well, good for soccer, but from your standpoint, it's your senior year. Do you feel like you're going to miss anything by leaving school early?
They are going to let me come back for graduation and prom, so would have been kind of a deal breaker if I didn't get to do the fun things. So for the most part, it's just I'll be back May 8th, and it's no big deal.
Sure. Well, hey, it's always been fun to fun to talk to you. It's been fun to watch you out on the pitch, quite frankly. And I know, Keith, you've probably seen her more than I have over the years, but a phenomenal soccer player, and
thank you.
Wish you all the best.
No, thanks. I'll come back. Gotta watch the boy play.
You're gonna watch your brother play, and you might also be watching your old team play and get to the playoffs again, right?
Oh boy, I'm sure they're gonna pull it off.
So we'll see. So again, Maddie Schultz, star athlete here at Edmonds Woodway High School. Future North Carolina Tar Heel soccer player.
Yes, sir.
So stay tuned for that. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll get to the second half of action. Mountlake Terrace 7, Edmonds Woodway 7. We know who she's rooting for. Stay tuned. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network and the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime program. Maddie Schultz, one heck of an athlete here at Edmonds Woodway. Always a pleasure, a beaming smile, a great interview.
Good kid.
Good kid.
I can't say it enough. I mean, for people who don't follow the sport, North Carolina is the prominent program. They're not one of the prominent programs in women's soccer. They're what everybody else is trying to get to. And for her to get that scholarship, that's you don't see that very often out of this
Not
area.
at
So
all.
Maddie has a golden opportunity, one that she's earned.
And that kind of almost a tailor-made segue into the brand new Edmonds Woodway High School announcing its first ever class in the Hall of Fame, the EDub Hall of Fame. Of course, we got to go way back to when they were split schools, the Edmonds and Woodway High Schools, both rivals at the time for most of their history, and now, of course, hyphenated in the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. But the first ever 2015 Athletic Hall of Fame inductees will be inducted on Thursday, October 15th, so just around the corner. And the couple of coaches, Tom Campbell from both EHS and EWHS, Bryce Cook, Bruce Evans, Mike Hess, Rich Rowe, Art Snowy, Fred Schull, and Dale Parker, all the coaches inducted into the Hall of Fame. Long couple of them. You can see they've been both at Edmonds Woodway and the Edmonds High School as we get ready to start the second half. And then the athletes, Karen Bryant. You might remember her from the Seattle Storm as the general manager. Deanna Carr, Mike Rankin, and Carl Van Kalkar. All the athletes. The teams: 1949 Edmonds High School football, 84 Woodway High School girls basketball. So no doubt the Edmonds Woodway girls soccer of a year ago is fielded in a very good field position now out toward midfield for Edmonds Woodway.
Got a couple of teams that are being inducted.
Yeah, that's
too,
what I
right?
meant, the 49 high school team and the 84 girls basketball team.
And on a personal level, note, I'd like to give a shout out to Karen Bryant. She was my boss for many years at the store.
That's right.
And still consider her to be a friend, and I'm very happy for
and
her.
I spent a lot of time on a plane with Karen Bryant.
That's right, you did, didn't
traveling around with the Seattle Storm. So, yeah, we definitely have some common ground there. And
you?
now,
Nice job, KB.
first down and 10 yards to go to start the second half for the Warriors. Single in the backfield, and that is the handoff. Right up the left side for a gain of 4 yards, and Edmonds Woodway will start the ground game here with only 50 yards to go to pay dirt, only having scored on the Tyler Reinford 2-yard dive in the first quarter, answered by a 5-yard run by Muncie in a 5-yard run in the second quarter. And there's a pass play almost picked off, and now a first down, and that was some dangerous territory.
It's one of those.
But Woodard comes up with it.
One of those plays where if you don't convert it, it could be going the other way for 6. But you also you're able to get the defender to gamble a little bit on that play, and when he does, it can work to your benefit. And that's exactly what happened. Whoever is over there on that corner fell down. Woodard was able to slip by him and pick up additional yards.
Trips on the near side. They'll put Nash in motion, and here's the keeper by Jackson, able to elude 2 tackles. A pretty good block by Woodard to spring him free, and that might be what the penalty is for, is a block in the back on David Woodard.
A very late flag, but nonetheless, it is a flag. Great play by Jackson, by the way. I mean, ran towards the sideline. It looked as though he was willing to just step out of bounds, threw on the brakes, kept his feet just along those lines there, and was able to pick up 3 or 4 more yards after the fact.
It was a block in the back, and that was a pretty easy call to make from 20 yards back in the backfield where the initial play came from, and then the side judge also threw a hanky in there. So first down and 15 yards to go now with the ball on the 43-yard line.
Keith, I want to make sure that you're able to – I know we were going to talk about the Tyler Ruby story a little bit, so we'll get to that here in a moment. That's something that's well, get back to this play here right now. It's first and 18.
11:05, almost trying the hard count. Now they'll play action bootleg out to the left. Jackson back to pass, looks deep, caught. Woodard, 10-yard line, breaks a tackle, 5 into the end zone, hits the pylon. Touchdown, Edmonds Woodway.
Looked like a coverage breakdown for the Hawks there as Woodard just ran down that sideline on the left sideline. Really no defender following him at all. He was the only receiver on that side of the field, so certainly it wasn't as though they didn't see him. I think the defenders were just kind of confused as to who was covering who and let him slip right into the open, and all he had to do was catch the ball, elude one tackler, and the rest was the end zone.
Obviously the primary receiver on the play for Jackson, and he wasted no time, absolutely no hesitation whatsoever. Once he rolled out and was able to turn his body downfield, fired a bullet right to Woodard for the TD. And now the extra point is up, and it is through. We are 14-7 with 10:54 to go, third quarter. Edmonds Woodway and Lake Terrace with E-Dub up by a touchdown. We'll stay right here.
And let's talk about this a little bit. We started to a minute ago, and I know you've actually read this. I have not yet. So Tyler Ruby, a game you covered last week.
Well, let me just set up the play.
Sure,
it was not a crazy play or anything out of the ordinary. A very ordinary play away from the ball, where Tyler Ruby with a Tyler Reinford run to the right side. Ruby just happened to get tied up on the left-hand side. And after the play was blown dead, we had Ruby, who was about 10 yards away from the play, not able to get to his feet.
Yeah, and I watched it. This was the game last week, of course. You were broadcasting it. I watched it later on, and you could see that Ruby got up initially and
struggled
you
a
could
bit.
Tell something wasn't quite right. It looked like a concussion is what it looked like. And
that's what we all thought it was at the time. And as it turns out, Ruby on the play, in his own words, said that he felt his left arm and his left leg go numb and realized that something was not right at all. Of course, his will was trying to get him up, and his body was just telling him this is not a good idea. And, of course, his teammates realized what is happening and put him right back down on the turf. And from there, he sat for about 30 minutes until they finally were able to get the aid car.
And what came out of that? We know now that Ruby is no longer going to play football.
His career is over, and it's not because of the hit necessarily, but it's what they found when they tried to go and do the concussion testing. So they went in, were able to get a CAT scan done, checked out for the general concussion, which they thought might be a little worse than normal. The play develops here, and
it's Anthony Gomez
again,
taking it at the 28,
coverage.
Gets ahead to the 38.
But Tyler Ruby then... they found out that he had a condition called Arnold Chiari, which is structural deformity involving the brain and the spinal cord, the base of the top of the spinal cord, the base of the brain, and about 1 in 1,000 people have it, and he's had it all his life. It's something you're born with. So it's one of those things that if the right conditions occur and he would have been hit playing football, things could have gone very tragic very quickly.
Jensen with the snap. Fakes the handoff to one player, gives it to Bishop. Bishop finding room and still keeping his feet going. Finally brought down at the 39-yard line of Edmonds Woodway. A gain of 21 yards and a huge first down for the Hawks. And, yeah, Tyler Ruby, great kid. He and I follow each other on Twitter. I know I've kind of kept up with him a little bit. I mean, undersized linebacker, but he's made a nice little career for himself. Played a lot last year, and I know it's got to be a devastating thing to him, but the fact that in a way, this is a blessing in disguise. I mean, your football career's over, but you know what? Young guy, a lot of life ahead of you, and it's best that they found this when they did. Is once again, the Hawks are going to keep this one on the ground. Another Bishop run, this time gets ahead to the 32-yard line for a gain of 8. So really, not a happy ending to the story per se, but good to see that he's doing okay. From what we've been reading this week, his spirits seem to be pretty high, and it sounds like he's going to stay with his team and help them out.
Yeah, it's something you've done all your life, and it's something you look forward to in your senior year all your life, all your athletic life, and to be told that you're never going to set foot on the field again or court again or pitch again if you're an athlete is at a young age it could be devastating emotionally, and Ruby, from what we've read, is handling things mighty well. And, of course, he's not going to give up on his team. He'll be on the sideline each and every Friday night for the Meadowdale Mavericks. And I just can't talk enough about the kid. He gave a big thumbs up. He wanted to make sure that the crowd knew he was going to be okay when they loaded him in the aid car. And, you read about him on My Edmonds News. If you want to go to the story, it's there. Great spirits. Absolutely a great kid with some great attitude.
Definitely. Munnis powering forward for a gain of 3, just enough for the first down. Keeps the chains moving as the Hawks looking to answer after Edmonds Woodway scores on their initial drive in the second half. Bishop with the carry one more time. Bishop carrying the pile down to the 21-yard line. Give him a gain of 8 on the play. It's going to be second and short. And, yeah, just again, you can't say it enough. And we've seen it way too many times already this year. Twice now, Meadowdale has had games here at Edmonds Stadium in which a player is left in an ambulance. Nick Fisher from Lake Terrace left in an ambulance, ended up having a broken leg. You hate to see it, but at the end of the day, when you're able to see these kids, see them give the thumbs up, it's going to be a rough patch for a couple months. I went through it myself when I was a football player here, and at the time you kind of think that your life is over, but this is a special time, Friday Night Lights, but it's not everything. So for them to get healthy and to go ahead and live their life accordingly, it's good to see that Ruby's going to be all right. As Jensen keeps that ball and runs it down to the 13-yard line, a gain of 9 and a first down.
Abduli Jada on the coverage there, making the tackle along with Tyler Reinford, and it's been Abduli Jada and Max Gradwall, the defensive backs that have had been in on the last 3 tackles, and that kind of tells you how the Terrace running game has been doing.
Usually, generally speaking, when you get 7 or 8 yards a pop, it's not the defensive tackle that's making those stops. It's usually the secondary, and that's exactly what's happening here right now with Edmonds Woodway. And again, it gets back to the fact that the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, when they are able to sustain these drives, they're keeping these drives going for 10, 15. We saw a 16-play drive early in that second quarter into the later part of the quarter, and that starts to wear on teams later in the game. If Edmonds Woodway doesn't do something to stop them here soon, they're going to be in a lot of trouble in the fourth quarter. Jensen looking to throw this time. Bubble screen out to the right. Daniel Johnson catches it and is finally pushed out at the 9-yard line, but not before he picks up 4 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 6.
Edmonds Woodway running a 3-5-3 almost. Kind of a weird defensive set there on that last play, and was really stacking the middle of the field.
When you're running the ball the way that Mountlake Terrace is, you have to put an extra guy in the box, and that's what they're forcing them to do right now, especially on a short field when you're inside the 10-yard line. You know that nobody's going to go deep on you because the back of the end zone is only 20 yards away, and that's exactly what Edmonds Woodway is trying to do. Mountlake Terrace tries to counter it by throwing a pass. This one's going to go to Riley Moore and looking for a sweep, and he doesn't find much room at all. Might have dove back to the line of scrimmage. Don't think so, though. It looks like he's going to lose about a yard, and that's going to bring up 3rd and 7.
Big third down. Of course, you're, again, in 2-down territory, so try to make at least half of it back here if you're Mountlake Terrace.
Well, I'm curious now. Are you in 4-down territory?
Well, you may not be with the
points.
points.
Where you end up at.
That's true.
I mean, you've got
I know if you're talking Edmonds Woodway in this scenario, you are in 4-down territory.
Well, and I think it depends on where you end up on this play. If you end up with a 4th and short, I certainly think you are. If you lose yardage, I think you might try the field goal. Jensen thinking about throwing it, rolling out to the right, still looking down the field. He's in a lot of trouble. Finally goes down and I thought he initially might have even dropped the ball, but he did not. He loses 4 yards on the play, or 3 yards rather, and now we're going to find out. It's 4th and 11.
Tyler McAtee in on the play. The last 2 plays, the big sophomore has gotten the best of this Terrace offense. Yeah, looks like they'll set up the kicking game.
As suspected, Jensen, who's 2 for 3 on the year from field goal, as long as 37 yards, so we know this is well within his range. Has it on that right hash. Tanner Munnis on the hold. He's been his holder for years now. These two have done this for quite some time. Drew Clippert with the snap. The kick is up.
It's through.
And the kick is through. So with 6:23 to go here in the third quarter, the Hawks cutting the deficit down a bit. Edmonds Woodway still in the lead, 14-10. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. Edmonds Woodway taking their first drive down and scoring a touchdown. Mountlake Terrace trying to counter. Weren't able to get the entire 7 back. However, they do pick up a field goal thanks to a 9-play, 46-yard drive that ends in a 31-yard field goal from Mikey Jensen. Makes the score Edmonds Woodway 14, Mountlake Terrace 10. And now Edmonds Woodway about to take their second possession of the second half, and the Hawks need to figure out a way to stop this this passing game from Edmonds Woodway, as we just saw just a few moments ago. Dave Woodard with the long touchdown
I don't know
pitch.
that it's necessarily stopped the passing game outright. Just don't give up big plays.
Right.
And you've had a couple of big plays, and both of them have been to David Woodard, wearing number 7 for Edmonds Woodway, and you really erase those 2 big plays. This is a much different ball game.
Yeah, and that's been the Mountlake Terrace Achilles, quite frankly. They've been known to give up that big play in the secondary. We saw it last year a little bit too, and we're seeing it here tonight.
So Nash deep to receive for the Warriors. A nice high kick. That's college-style kick there, and into the 20-yard line, and a little bit of running room. Penalty flag will fly on the far sidelines, and we'll see how that changes the ball placement on the field on the far side near the 30-yard line, and the referee going over and picking the flag up, and here comes the indication from the official, and it is a block in the back on the offense. So the Warriors will march back inside their own red zone to start things off. As we see, they won't mark it 15 yards, they'll mark it 5.
By the way,
So the 25-yard line, they keep going back. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Just going to say, just got a note from John Richards, our super fan who watches our games fairly regularly. He was watching the battle for Shoreline tonight. Shorecrest defeating Shorewood 14-12. Shorecrest, team that did not win a game all of last year, now 3-1 on the season, and an opponent that both of these two teams still have to contend with this year.
A couple other scores or finals in the Wesco. We'll get to those in a moment. Here comes the handoff. It's Reinford 2 yards into the interior handoff. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8. Lake Stevens upending Snohomish. That one, I imagine, was called 4 ways.
Not even close, yeah.
By the Herald and the KRKO staff and our own Steve Willits in the pre-game picks, the pre-week picks. There's the pass on the near side to Nash, up near the line to make. And we'll see if they give him the first down here for its 3rd and short. And they may end up having to measure here. We'll see where they spot. That will indeed be a first down. So Lake Stevens 48-7 over the Panthers in Snohomish. Monroe 35-7 over the Timberwolves of Jackson. And then Oak Harbor 55-7 over the Seagulls in Everett. So a lot of blowouts, frankly, as the pitch coming on the near side. Great pursuit from the Hawks, and Tyler Reinford just running over a would-be tackler past the 30-yard line for a pickup of 6.
That would be a 6'3" or 6'1", 200-pound running back at the high school level, using his brute and using his size to get forward.
Anybody get the number on that truck?
Yeah, whoever that was that he hit there.
I need a license plate.
They will feel it tomorrow.
2nd down and 3, a long 3. I formation, Twins on the far side. There's the handoff on the interior once again to Reinford, who wiggles and squirms his way near the first down marker. We'll see where they spot it. It will be just short. So 3rd down and about a half a yard.
Once again, Edmonds Woodway staying in the no-huddle offense. It worked well for them in the first half. Why ruin a good thing? They're going to keep with it.
Well, they did give him the first down. So 1st and 10 with 5:33 to go, 3rd quarter. And that should be a penalty flag as one of the linemen moved, and now they'll finally throw it. I think all the officials had to look at one another to see if that really did happen. I know I saw it.
All of them looking at each other, none of them blowing a whistle until the end, which usually you see in high school. Hey, by the way, a couple other scores real quick. Linwood up on Interlake 45-24. So obviously the South looking good in that regard, and Linwood already with 1 victory this year, looking for number 2. And a game that we saw earlier tonight here at Edmonds Stadium, Glacier Peak 45, Meadowdale 0. That's going to be a very tough opponent for both of these teams coming up in the next 2 weeks.
I would say some pretty good parity in the Wesco 3A South if you take the top dog off the top of the pile.
Well, we're finding that out tonight.
You may find that is very, very true, and the battle for second is a real one.
Well, Glacier Peak, by the way, next week. Bellevue Wolverines coming up to Snohomish.
First and long, 15 yards to go. Back to pass and rolling out now under some pressure and heavy pursuit. We'll see if Jackson get rid of it. He finally does. Caught at the 50-yard line. And a first down on a scramble play by Isaac Jackson on a picture-perfect floater over the linebacking core. And caught for a 19-yard pickup.
Yeah, Reed Whitson, the tight end, makes the catch there. Not only the linebacking core, there was a safety back there waiting for it as well. And Jackson perfectly placed that ball right over their fingertips, right into Whitson's hands.
At midfield now, first down and 10. Jackson will roll out to his left, looks across his body, will fire downfield. Nash with the catch at the 20-yard line, and now the yards being picked up at 20 and 30 yards a pop. And I think they may have to reorganize a little bit on the Terrace defense.
Jackson scrambling to his left, throwing across his body, a dart 30 yards downfield. Give him a lot of credit. Give Nash a lot of credit. He took a big pop from Riley Moore at the end of the play.
Hung on.
Held on to the ball.
And now we've got an official timeout. No, they will. Lake Terrace will take a timeout. So we'll take a timeout ourselves here on the Sound Live Sports Network. Edmonds Woodway on the move and the lead by 4, 14-10 with 5:02 to go. We'll be back. .502 to go, third quarter. Edmonds Woodway, a couple of big pass plays. And now they'll put 4 receivers wide with the solo in the backfield. And the shotgun formation for Isaac Jackson, the quarterback. Handoff on the interior. Once again, it's Tyler Reinford getting the bulk of the carries. Nope.
Number 26, that's Heron on the play.
26, that's the fullback, Graydon Heron. Got so used to seeing 18 in there the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I still want to know the story on that. He's listed
yeah,
at
we're
26,
gonna have to ask.
Was missing the uniform. That's what I was told 2 weeks ago, and it magically appears.
There's another handoff. This time, same play, same carrier, and same result, really, with a 2-yard pickup by Heron.
I don't have the game-by-game stats in front of me, but it felt like the last 2 weeks Heron didn't carry the ball as much. I wonder if perhaps Gradwell forgot who Heron was because he was wearing the 18, and now that he's got the 26 back on, he's like,
hey,
that's my guy. He needs the ball.
4:15 to go, third down, and 3 to go. Inside the red zone of the Mountlake Terrace Hawks. There's Jackson back to pass, and it is bobbled right in and out of the hands of, so far, a very sure-handed Woodard, and that would have been the first down. So now it'll bring up yet another fourth down for Edmonds Woodway, and no question at this point in time what the decision will be. Not a change in any personnel on the field. Back to pass now is Jackson, has to roll out, has a man open on the right-hand side, doesn't see him. Everybody trying to go back to the ball. Now there's the catch, and all the way back across the field, slipping one tackle, will not get the first down now, up near the original line of scrimmage. On some trickery, Nash able to pick up a long yard after running about 50.
He ran about 50, and I think Jackson ran about 60.
Yeah,
so between
maybe
the two of them, I think they could have had a couple of touchdowns back and forth. But give them a lot of credit for effort there. Certainly whatever they called initially wasn't there. Jackson doing a nice job to keep the play alive, and Eli Wilson wasn't having any of it. He just pursued him until the very end, and Nash almost took that play that was nothing and almost made it into a first down. But like you mentioned, second time now we've seen Edmonds Woodway go for it deep
on downs
and turn it over to the Hawks.
Yep.
So 3:47 to go here in the third quarter. Mountlake Terrace, we've seen their MO tonight. They want to grind this ball down the field. They want to eat up a lot of clock and take up a lot of plays. They're down by 4 right now. Timing is not an issue as we're still in the third quarter, but eventually they're trailing. They're going to need something a little bit quicker. Edmonds Woodway stacking the line there, and it works. They hold Mountlake Terrace to a 1-yard gain. I believe that might have been Munnis, the fullback, and it was. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 11 for the Hawks.
Tyler McAtee, we've already called his name a couple times tonight, in on the tackle, deep in the backfield.
Clock continuing to run here. 2nd and 10 from the 12-yard line. Daniel Johnson out to the right. Unique Boa out to the left. Hawks in their wing T formation. Fake the handoff to one player. It goes back to Bishop. Bishop running around to the right. He's able to fight his way forward to around the 16-yard line. We'll give him a gain of 4. But those yards that were coming a little bit easier earlier, not so much right now, as Edmonds Woodway starting to figure out that play a little bit. That fly sweep where Bishop comes off from the left wing, takes it out to the right, and it's almost as though the Warriors are starting to wait for him now.
Spencer Schultz and sophomore Chris Tilbury in on the coverage for Edmonds Woodway.
2:35 to go here in the third quarter, 3rd and 5, and we've talked about Edmonds Woodway going for it on 4th down tonight. We know Mountlake Terrace won't do that from this deep in their territory. They need a 1st down right now. 1st down marker at around the 23-yard line. Running a little bit of a wildcat is Daniel Johnson, who's usually the wide receiver. He takes the direct snap, and it is going nowhere. Edmonds Woodway not fooled at all. He might have even lost a couple of yards on the play. It's going to bring out the punt team.
Ollie Gay and Spencer Schultz right there for the stop. And it's been fun. The last couple of plays, I've kind of ISO'd. I got the binoculars here, Steve, and I've been ISOing the work of Trent Brooks, the defensive lineman, the senior for the Terrace Hawks. And as we let the punt go here, I'll get to the story in a moment.
Jensen, not a great kick. It lands at the 41, fielded by one of the up men. A little bit of a dangerous play there as it doesn't go anywhere. As David Woodard's going to jump on the ball. Only a 26-yard kick. Jensen's really been struggling with his foot this year, only averaging around 26, 27 yards per punt through the first 3 games and didn't get much more there.
Anyway, Tyler McAtee, who we had seen in on a lot of those plays, and Trent Brooks have been really going one-on-one on that far side, the left-hand offensive side of the line for the Hawks. And the first 2 plays we mentioned that McAtee got the tackles. He got the best of Brooks. In the last couple of plays, Brooks ate him alive. So that's kind of a look, a couple of one-on-one matchups that I'm going to keep watching. There's the long bomb. An outstanding ball in and out of the hands of Nash on a sure touchdown if he hauls it in. And that was a beautiful ball over the top to the speedster that just falls through the hands and hits the turf incomplete.
Points have not come easy tonight. If you're Edmonds Woodway and you have a chance to go up by 11 points right now, I wouldn't say you ice the game away, but you're pretty darn close to it, and Jalen Nash is not going to forget that play anytime soon.
Woodard the time before had a first down opportunity went out of his hands, and now the snap, a free play, they will blow it dead.
The Woodard play was more of a timing play, though, where he had to turn around quickly and find the ball. You'll see guys drop that one from time to time. Jalen, unfortunately for him, out in the open with nobody around him, all he has to do is make the catch. In stride. And like I said, as a receiver, you think about those for years to come. So if they lose this game, he's certainly going to remember that. We'll see what happens.
Lining up in the neutral zone were the Terrace Hawks, and now a 2nd down and 5 chance as shotgun formation, the ball handoff once again. Here we go, around end, down to the 20-yard line. 15, Braden Herron suddenly coming alive out of the backfield. That's a big-time run.
Herron, the fullback, we're used to seeing him kind of grind away for 2 or 3 or 4 yards a pop. Picks up 25 that time. Just found an opening on the left-hand side and exposed it and ran right down the sideline until Austin Bach made the tackle.
And now you'll have Herron in that I formation. He's the fullback right in front of Reinford in that I. Twins on the far side, spinning back, and a penalty flag.
Might have been a little movement on the Edmonds Woodway Warriors.
And that's usually what the quick whistle will elicit, and that's indeed what we will have. So 1st down and 10 suddenly becomes 1st and 15.
College in the program, you know right away it's offense. In the high school where encroachment you can't jump back on. It's often hard to
little
tell.
harder.
So I always wait to see. But the way that the Hawks were clapping, I had a feeling that one of the big linemen up front there jumped, and that's certainly what the case was that play.
So similar formation for Jackson as he looks over at his head coach, John Gradwell, gives a nod. Now we'll go under center, and they'll pitch it out to Reinford this time. Leapfrogs one tackler and out of bounds, and he was actually whistled for the penalty last year for doing that a couple of times, leaping over the top, and there's the penalty flag on the turf now, and you can imagine that's what it is.
I turned on your broadcast for a few plays last week, if I recall correctly. I think he got away with one of those last week. Yeah,
yep.
Not this time. They're going to call holding on the play, however, so it's not on Tyler.
So maybe they've changed that, but I know when he had hurdled a couple of people last year, they threw the hanky immediately. And now we'll get a holding call, and here's the struggle. Here's where the struggle for Edmonds Woodway has been. You're down inside the red zone. You're threatening. You have been all afternoon, all evening. And in two back-to-back plays, you've got first down and Tacoma to go.
Well, and the challenge here becomes, if you're at Mountlake Terrace, you need to prevent the big play. You've got a 1st and 24. It's an ideal situation for a lot of defenses. You can't give up big yardage right now.
And you wonder if they changed the play call. There's back to pass and caught. And there's your big play. Touchdown, Edmonds Woodway. And just as soon as it comes out of Steve Willits' mouth, it happens on the field. The big play, the one thing you couldn't have, is Reed Whitson getting into the seam as the tight end makes the catch, and it's a touchdown.
First and 24, you know it's coming. You know they're not going to grind it out. You know you're going to get something down the field. You know it's going to come in the form of a pass. Having said that, Mountlake Terrace wasn't ready. Reed Whitson went right down the middle, found that seam. I didn't see who the defender was in that play, but he gambled a little bit on the play, and by not making the catch, Whitson had an easy touchdown.
Isaac Jackson looks incredibly comfortable and throwing the ball mighty well. A completely different quarterback than a week ago. And that will be through the uprights for the PAT, and a 21-10 advantage for the Edmonds Woodway Warriors with 21 seconds to go third quarter. We'll take a break on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. Reed Whitson, 28-yard touchdown catch from Isaac Jackson, and Edmonds Woodway now with a 21-10 lead with 21 seconds to go here in the third quarter. A bit of an upset tonight as Edmonds Woodway coming into this game having given up 70 points in the last two games. Playing a high-powered offense of Mountlake Terrace that has been scoring over 30 points in each of their three games this year so far, and holding them to 10 points here tonight. Bit of a shocker right now. However, there is still 19 seconds and a quarter left to play. But if the Hawks are going to get back into this game, they have to do it now. Down by 11, taking over on the 25-yard line.
We said Glacier Peak, they're the big dogs at the top. You got to knock them off, and Edmonds Woodway faces them the very last contest of the regular season, and most likely that's going to be for a second place or third place spot. But it gets a little interesting if the Warriors are able to hold on to a W here in the final 12 minutes.
And that will probably be the last play of the quarter. Noticing that Garrett McDowell, I think, was in at quarterback that time. Mentioned on the last offensive play of the last drive, Daniel Johnson took a direct snap, so I kind of wonder now if something's not going on with Mikey Jensen, so we need to look over there on the sideline, try to figure out what's going on, but right now we're at the end of the third quarter. There's 12 minutes left to go. Edmonds Woodway looking to pull off a little bit of an upset here. They're up 21-10. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network. And welcome back to Edmonds Stadium. We are ready for the fourth quarter of action, and we're noticing now that Mikey Jensen, the starting quarterback for the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, has his left or right calf wrapped in ice right now, Keith.
Yeah, and he's grabbed it now. Watching him, he's off about the 30-yard line, extended here, right about where the play is now.
Keep in mind, this is
tilt to the left a little bit on our camera here. He's looking right down the line of scrimmage, but he's grabbing that right calf.
McDowell takes the snap, fakes the handoff. No, he does hands it off to, apparently it was Tanner Munnis. For a moment, I thought he handed it to Jordan Bishop. He did not. Then I thought he kept it, but apparently he did hand it off. It's going to be a loss of a yard. And this is a player in Mikey Jensen who not only is he taken every snap from center this year at quarterback, at least every meaningful snap before they're doing their kneel down at the end of a game, he's also carried about 45% of the rushing attempts. Plays linebacker, too. He's been a little bit of their everything this year. And for them to have to adapt going into a fourth quarter with an 11-point deficit.
He doesn't look comfortable at all.
No, I
Steve.
think he looks like he's done for the night. And this is going to be interesting to see if the junior, Garrett McDowell, can come of age here and do it very quickly in the fourth quarter of this game. 3rd and 11 coming up at the 25, and we get another flag. It's a delay of game call, and this is what you can expect when you're putting in a new quarterback, a second-string quarterback who is yet to take any snaps here tonight. And you can tell already the Hawks are a little bit out of sync on offense. So we're looking at a 3rd and 16 right now. So we've seen McDowell run the ball. We've seen him hand off. We're probably going to see him pass right now on a 3rd and 16 play. And we get a timeout, and we'll take a quick break. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Now you're looking at Jensen, and obviously under some duress.
Yeah, if you are a Mountlake Terrace Hawks fan, that is the last thing you want to see, period, let alone when you're down by 11. And again, we mentioned it. Garrett McDowell has yet to throw a pass this season. That will more than likely change right now with a 3rd and 16. And to make matters worse, if you're a quarterback and you haven't thrown yet this year,
it rains.
Why don't we add an element of rain to it too, as for the first time tonight, or at least for the first time since pregame, it is starting to rain out there. If Mountlake Terrace did in fact need a break, they got a little one there as there's an encroachment call against Edmonds Woodway. So they give up 5 one play ago. Now they get the 5 right back, and we're back to where we started, 3rd and 11 here with 11:09 to go in the fourth quarter.
Game slowed down dramatically. Of course, we were bragging about how fast the first half went. Someone dropped an anchor here in the second.
But we're still doing a lot better than the last couple of weeks. I know that game 2 weeks ago, I think, ended a little after 11 o'clock. We should be on pace to exceed that and then some. As McDowell looking down the field, scrambling to his left, still looking down the field, and is finally tackled at the 21-yard line. It's going to lose 4 yards on the play, and it's going to bring up a 4th and long. And when it rains, it pours if you're a Mountlake Terrace Hawks fan.
And again, I'm going to go back to the matchup that I've been watching there on the right side of the line. This time, Zach Kadri, if I got that pronunciation, the junior wearing number 75, got to match up against Tyler McAtee and pancaked him directly to the ground, and then offered a big paw, helped him right up, and they are just going right back at each other. It's great sportsmanship. It's great competition in a side of the play that we really don't get to talk about too much. And it is a battle. They're having a great time down there.
They're on to punt, and look who's punting. It's Mikey Jensen. He's out there kicking the ball and gets one of his best kicks away of the year, so apparently that's not affected as it lands at the 46-yard line and finally rolls out at the 41. So he gets a 37-yard kickoff, and Jensen is barely able to walk off the field even. So I'm surprised he was out there to punt the ball away, but he made it out there, and he's certainly not going to stay out there to play linebacker.
That play very dangerous. Anthony Lindemood on the coverage team for Edmonds Woodway got downfield, looked like it kicked off his shin and out of bounds. And, of course, if it touches an Edmonds Woodway player and there's enough pursuit by the Terrace Hawks, that's a turnover. But I don't think they saw the ball carry him off. And now Edmonds Woodway with a chance to burn some time here. You'll probably see a lot more of that in Tyler Reinford, and a penalty marker deep in the backfield for Edmonds Woodway on no gain on the play.
And confusion on Mountlake Terrace's behalf there as Drew Clippert, the defensive lineman, was late to get on the field. As the ball was being snapped, he was sprinting towards the line of scrimmage, still a good 20 feet away from the line of scrimmage, and Edmonds Woodway had an extra blocker there, and they still couldn't pick up very much. But certainly if you're Mountlake Terrace, you've already have enough issues going right now. You don't need your defense to be that disorganized. Fortunately for them, they were able to not only get the stop, might have picked up a penalty in the process.
Garrett McDowell, the junior, counting heads for the Terrace Hawks back there in his safety spot, making sure that they do indeed have enough bodies on the field.
As if McDowell, the new quarterback for the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, doesn't have enough to worry about. Now he's got to make sure his defense has 11 players on the field.
So another penalty on Edmonds Woodway, not nearly as many as their game average. And, of course, with the lead, it doesn't nearly sting as much as Jackson now will have to tuck under and go. Breaks 2 tackles and out of bounds. Very heads-up play, and another penalty marker downfield about the 50-yard line. Down in the passing routes, and it might have been that David Woodard got tied up. It may be holding on the offense. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to wave
it off.
I was curious about that. It's in a vicinity where earlier in the play you might think it's a defensive hold or maybe an illegal contact play downfield. However, at that point in time, Jackson had already taken off running, so I was looking for some sort of block in the back. I just happened to have my eyes right in the area of where the penalty flag was thrown. Not sure why it was even thrown because I really didn't see any illegal contact of any sort down there.
It almost looked like they just got tied up.
McDowell and Woodard, yeah.
Woodard and McDowell in the downfield just kind of touched shoelaces and knocked each other to the ground. Nothing more than that, really. Here's the wide pitch, and a head of steam for Tyler Reinford. Picks up the first down, still on the move, cuts back in midfield now, having to pursue, and a penalty flag down, and that will definitely come back against the Edmonds Woodway Warriors as a block in the back.
Coming back, but even at that, 35-yard run of beauty by Reinford, doing a little bit of everything there. He's using his feet, nice cutting, nice open field running, and nice way of carrying defenders on his back. He was an all-purpose back on that play.
And it all started wide at the line of scrimmage where you're able to allow Reinford to get a full head of steam before he made his cut. And once he did, he was able to brush off 2 tackles. And this one will come back. It will still be a first down.
Yeah, spot foul, and the infraction happened further down the field. So by the time the flag was thrown, Reinford had already picked up a good 22, 23 yards. So as you mentioned, minus 10 from there, and you still get a nice play out of it. You just don't get down to the 22-yard line, which is where he ended up at.
So Jackson now will saunter back into the Warriors huddle, and they'll break with 10:09 to go here in the game with the 21-10 lead. First down and 10 with the ball on the Terrace 46. Spin into the backfield, a handoff.
Ball's on the
ball
ground.
Is loose, and Terrace thinks they have it.
And in fact, they do.
And indeed.
Eli Wilson, number 54, coming away with it. I'll tell you, if you're Edmonds Woodway, that's about the last thing you wanted to do right now. You've got Mountlake Terrace on their heels. You have an 11-point lead. You've knocked their star quarterback out of the game. Really, for you, you want to go and you want to put the game away with another score, but more importantly, you want to start taking time off that clock. And at the very least, if you eat some clock and also eat some field possession, or field position rather, and they didn't do either one. They fumbled the ball and gave Mountlake Terrace the ball at the 46-yard line. At the very least, they should have been able to pin Mountlake Terrace back on that drive, if nothing else, maybe on a punt, but you don't even do that.
Abdulli Jada, the ball carrier, getting his first touch of the evening, and it comes out.
Well, here goes Garrett McDowell. He's going to hand this one off to Bishop. Bishop looking for room around the right, tripped up and dives forward to midfield. Might have come up just a little bit short, picks up 3 yards on the play, and again, Mountlake Terrace needing to get something going quickly. In an ideal world, you're probably throwing the ball a little more right now. But again, you've got your second-string quarterback in here, and you're going to have to hope that something opens up with the running game, or else catch Edmonds Woodway off guard here eventually. As with 8:27 to go or 9:27 to go, the clock suddenly becoming a little bit of an enemy when you're a running team and you're down by 11. Ball is taken off the shoe tips of McDowell, and everybody waiting for him that time. Nobody fooled for Edmonds Woodway as Ali Gay and a few of his teammates just waiting
Spencer
for McDowell.
Schultz right there too.
Number 44 always around the play.
And yeah, it's certainly not dire yet, but you need 2 scores. So if you're Terrace, you can't be wasting any of the precious 9 minutes that are left on the clock.
No, when you have had success tonight, it's come in 16 play drives. It's come in 9 play drives. You don't have a lot of time to waste. McDowell's going to roll out to the right. Does a nice job of finding Daniel Johnson, who just keeps the tips of his toes in bounds.
Wonderful catch.
Great catch, knowing exactly where the sideline was. 3rd and 9, you pick up 10. You move the chains, and that's exactly what the Hawks did, as they now are into Edmonds Woodway territory at the 43-yard line with 8:43 to go here in the ballgame.
And you see the first guy to come and congratulate the ball catch on that, or the catch on that play, was Mikey Jensen. Giving any of his energy to get from wherever he was to the play.
How did he get there? He can barely move right now.
Unless he just happened to be there. And now on a penalty flag as we have some motion on the offense.
And this, I mean, obviously when you have a new quarterback in there, sometimes you see a center to quarterback issue early on as the two try to get acclimated to one another. But that's usually when the quarterback is under center. Garrett is playing in a shotgun formation much the same way Mikey did, only now I'm noticing that Miles Allen starting to hike that ball a little bit lower and lower every time. McDowell's had to go down to his feet to get that ball the last 2 times. If nothing else, it's that split second that he has to take to get the ball and retrieve it and bring it in that allows the defense to get behind the line of scrimmage, and consequently they're having more issues. They need to correct that.
And there it is
and
again.
There it is again. McDowell rolling out to his left. He's going to keep it this time. Cuts it back towards the middle and is drilled at the 44-yard line. Welcome to varsity football, at least on the offensive side of things. Garrett McDowell, as he got hammered at the 43, does manage to pick up 5 yards. Call it a 2nd and long 9 for the Hawks with 8:20 to go.
And, of course, the clock continues to move on the running play, and that is not your friend right now.
It doesn't leave you with a lot of room for error. You better score on this drive because, again, you're down 2 scores, 2 possessions right now. And with 8 minutes to go, it only gets worse. McDowell's going to throw this one out to Daniel Johnson, just
Great
a little bit
job
overthrown.
Just to get the big paw up there to knock that down, because if it sails any further over the top, there were 2 Edmonds Woodway Warriors, one behind. Looked like they may have had a beat on it. Almost playing a little defense.
Johnson tall and lanky and is able to get up there, and that's exactly what he did. It's going to bring up 3rd and long here. So, again, McDowell, he's got the 1 completion already to Johnson, was looking for another one there. Let's see what they decide to dial up here with 7:58 to go. Apparently we get a referee's timeout here as they're making an adjustment of some sort. Didn't catch what that was all about. The Hawks will take it, though. I think they were in desperate need of that as they were having a little trouble getting up to the line.
Yeah, and they remarked the ball. So they gave the Hawks another probably yard advantage than what they had prior.
Let's see what McDowell can do with it. He's looking out to the right again. Incomplete, and this time Edmonds Woodway, they knew exactly where that was going.
Good job on coverage by the linebacker Xander Hall-Spizcuza, who was able to drop back into coverage and cover 2. That zone coverage that Edmonds Woodway likes to use.
4th and 10 to go. Mountlake Terrace recognizing that time is of the essence. They're going to go for it. They do not have the luxury of kicking this ball away. They need a first down. McDowell and his offense staying on the field right now in shotgun formation. Needs to get to the 33-yard line for a first down. Rolls out to the right. He's looking for Daniel Johnson again. Incomplete. Almost an identical play to what they ran last time. He was looking for Johnson just to run that 12-yard out right along the sideline and just overthrows him just a little bit, and that's going to be a turnover on downs.
All Spikuza once again in the coverage, dropping back and picking up the would-be receiver. And now Edmonds Woodway has 4 minutes and 47 seconds to be very stingy and eat as much clock as they possibly can and not allow any daylight to remain for the Terrace Hawks. They weren't able to pull it off the last time, and now Tyler Reinford back into the running back position. Gains 2 yards. Stays in bounds and keeps the clock moving. So timeout situation. The Hawks with 2 timeouts. Edmonds Woodway has 3 remaining.
Certainly, you don't want to talk as though this game is over, but you have to start looking at things now a little bit, looking at them differently in terms of the standings. Edmonds Woodway, Meadowdale, and Mountlake Terrace have now essentially played a round robin, and they're all going to be 1-1 against each other if this score stands. And all of a sudden, that 2nd and 3rd seed, it gets a little bit dicey there as Reinford with another carry. Keep in mind, Shorecrest looks like they might be as good as any other team right now.
Legitimate, absolutely.
But you know what? Shorecrest doesn't get one of the playoff spots. They're a 2A school playing in a 3A division, so you have to start looking at, is Linwood good enough to be in the mix right now? We haven't seen it yet, but then again, they're having a good game against Interlake tonight, and Shorewood hasn't shown that they can play with anybody yet. So really, things just got a lot more interesting, assuming Edmonds Woodway holds on to this lead tonight. Keep in mind the top 2 teams advance to the playoffs. Team that finishes in 3rd has to play a crossover game probably October 30th or October 31st for that last playoff spot.
8 o'clock game here at Edmonds Stadium on the Sound Live Sports Network is the Edmonds Woodway Linwood game, which now suddenly has some impact on the standings. We weren't sure if it would after tonight.
Shorecrest, I mean, and again, this game isn't over yet, but it's starting to look like it might go Edmonds Woodway's way. Shorecrest all of a sudden could become a huge spoiler in all of this.
Of course, Shorecrest, the game right after for Edmonds Woodway, will follow suit.
Well, the thing
Linwood, Shorecrest, and that is the October 9th game. And that's the next opponent for the Terrace Hawks, so we'll know in 2 weeks' time.
And just to make sure that we confirm that and let everybody know, Shorecrest does not have a spot in the playoffs. However, their games do count as conference games, so every one of their games is a win or a loss for a team.
First down for Edmonds Woodway on the Reinford carry. Will move the chains and continue the drive for Edmonds Woodway, and certainly a much different team. Edmonds Woodway team than we've seen in the last 2 weeks. Able to move the football, have multiple sustained drives over the course of both the first and second half. It's not like they've been one-offs.
It's a different game than what I was expecting tonight. I think if you had told me earlier that this might be an Edmonds Woodway 11-point game, I would have thought it would have been more of a shootout. I would have thought there would have been a lot more points than 31 accumulated by both teams.
And now fatigue may be setting in just a little bit as Tyler Reinford having his way through the middle on the interior handoff will pick up yet another first down.
Well, is it fatigue or is it concessions being made at this point? I mean, in all seriousness, if you're the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, there's a little bit of a demoralizing factor going in right now.
Yep.
You've already seen your quarterback go down, who's been a little bit of everything for you this year. You're noticing that the offense doesn't seem to have an answer right now, and maybe at some point in the back of your mind,
do you want to take one more big hit?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. So Mountlake Terrace's defense really has to step up if they're going to keep themselves in this game, but you're starting to see that a little bit right now.
High formation now. The pitch once again to Reinford with 5 minutes to play, upended. And a nice job coming through the line on that side is Miles Allen. So Allen not giving up any hope.
And Allen's been a name we've seen out there quite a bit tonight. Number 71 has been making plenty of plays on the defensive side of things. And again, I mean, for as many big plays as Mountlake Terrace has given up tonight, and we've talked about the passes that Woodard's caught and the plays to Nash, really for them to only have given up 21 points, the defense hasn't done that bad of a job tonight. It's just it's one of those situations where offensively they haven't been able to get the ball into the end zone, and Edmonds Woodway's doing a nice job of keeping their possessions alive.
Grayson Fisher on the handoff, seeing some varsity action, runs off to his left-hand side, picks up maybe a yard, closer to no gain. And the clock down near the 4-minute mark here in the ball game.
This is the position right here that you wanted Edmonds Woodway to have last possession. We talked about it. Even if you don't go down and score, eat up the clock, maintain and control field position. If at the very least you don't score, you're not leaving Mountlake Terrace much time left, and that's exactly what they've done. This is a 4-minute plus drive already.
Now you're able to work in some of your players that get a lot of varsity or a lot of JV time, and there's the first down by Jackson. Decides he's going to cut it back up, throw his body into the mess, into the scrum, and a penalty flag about the 7-yard line in the backfield, the defensive backfield. And I didn't see the play where the flag was thrown, Steve.
It was thrown at the 8-yard line, and it was thrown very late, so it was right at the end of the play. Holding on Edmonds Woodway. I've got to give Isaac Jackson a lot of credit tonight, too. I know the first couple of games I watched him this year, and we talked about this even a little bit on the podcast we do weekly up in Everett. He's been a little bit of I called him a riverboat gambler one day, and I also made references to Johnny Manziel. He reminds me of that type of player that he can be so spectacular at times, and he'll make something out of nothing.
Very athletic legs.
Athletic, he'll scramble away, but he's also been a little bit prone to make that throw or try to gamble a little bit where he shouldn't. And he's
thread the needle type plays.
Yeah, and at times he's been in trouble, and rather than just throw it away or slide, he tries to make something out of nothing, which I like the spirit, I like the enthusiasm, but Kamiak game, I think he had 4 interceptions in that game. He's really cleaning it up a little bit, and I've kind of felt all along this year that if he could kind of start to figure it out, and he's got so much ability and so much talent, I thought this could still be a really special year for Edmonds Woodway, and I think we're starting to see him evolve tonight right in front of our eyes here as he hasn't really made that big mistake tonight.
Remember, he didn't get a lot of playing time last season, so you develop over the course of training and everything in the summer going from your junior year to senior year. Maybe not getting as many reps as you're used to, and certainly not as much real game time, real live, fast-paced varsity action. Yeah. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 games for a senior quarterback to get it figured out.
And especially in high school, you can't always acclimate it because, quite frankly, a lot of times in practice you either don't have enough players or you don't have the right players playing second and third string defenses. It takes being out here underneath the lights. It takes being in action on a Friday night. And you see that constantly, and we're seeing that with Isaac, and I had a feeling we were going to. I mean, I look back at that game 2 weeks ago. He made some great plays against Kamiak, but he also made some mistakes. And tonight he's doing the same thing with the great plays, only he's cut out the mistakes, and they're winning.
There's the first down on the carry by Reinford, and Moore squirted out of the pile down to the 5-yard line, and this guy continues to chew up yardage and has some legs left. Reinford all the way down to the 4.
And if you're Mountlake Terrace right now, it's how do you want to be beat? If Jackson rolls out to the right, he finds space or he cuts it back and makes a great play. And then when you think you've got that stopped, well, let's go back to Reinford, let him go up the middle and pick up another 8 or 9 yards on you.
3:07 to go in the contest. They'll put Nash in motion now, moving from left to right to make it twins with his receiver mate Woodard. And the handoff Reinford into the end line and another touchdown for number 27. We'll put the final nail in what seems to be the Terrace coffin here with 2:51 to go.
27-10 right now, and if you're Mountlake Terrace, you still need to get something going on offense here because, quite frankly, if Mikey Jensen is not back next week, this might be the biggest test for Garrett McDowell right now, just to get him ready to go for the Shorecrest game. I mean, at this point, he's taking a limited number of snaps. I think if you're Mountlake Terrace, you're probably going under the assumption that you're not going to win this game, but you're not just going to try to run that clock out. You need this as practice for next Friday right now.
PAT is up and good. No good. And I look awful good to me from where I sit. And I don't know if that went wide right. Nonetheless.
It must have. We know it had the distance,
we
right?
Definitely had the distance. It looked nice. Off the foot of Stevenson, but no go. So we will be right here at 27-10. And still the 17-point advantage. You're looking at a 3-possession football game.
So we have a doubleheader next week now. So I've got I've got the 5 p.m. game. It'll be Mountlake Terrace versus Shorecrest. Apparently 2 3-1 teams going at it right now. 2 teams starting to go in different directions after tonight is, again, Shorecrest getting the big 14-12 victory. Becomes now a very crucial game for Mountlake Terrace. And then later on that night, you've got another Edmonds School District battle, a Linwood team that's 2-2 and playing decent ball. Last time we checked, they were beating Interlake pretty good, and an Edmonds Woodway team that looks like they've turned it around a bit.
Yeah, and really, you hate to use so early in league play must-win games, but if you want to be alive in the playoffs at the end of it, you don't have too many stumbles in league play at the 3A division. You just don't. You've got to win.
You play a 6-game conference schedule,
right?
The games that count, one of which is against Glacier Peak, and I'll just go on record right now. I'm not going out on a limb. Glacier Peak probably beats all of the other teams in this conference.
Absolutely does.
So you start to cut your games down a little bit, and all of a sudden you're thinking, well, that becomes a 5-game schedule, and we're battling for one
playoff spot,
maybe 2. Every game is crucial. Riley Morin trying to keep things alive. We know he's got the speed, finds the sideline. Penalty marker back at the 32-yard line. This one might be coming back, but Morin does get ahead to the 41-yard line of Edmonds Woodway.
And it was a very obvious block in the back. One of those that was so far beyond the play. There was absolutely no reason to even go there. And, that's one of those things. You probably have some personnel in there now on special teams that you don't have at the beginning of the football game, and you'd like to use these moments as teaching points. And I bet that's one of them right there.
Well, you're certainly getting that. Well, and again, I mean, at this stage in the game, you're losing field possession, but really, what does that matter? We're just looking at 2:41 left on the clock, and really, this is going to be more about this team coming together with Garrett McDowell, just in case he ends up being your starting quarterback next week, and maybe longer, depending on what Mikey's injury is.
Yeah, it may just be that he had a very good cramp, and just has not been able to work it off yet, or just got the Charlie horse, got a helmet on a tackle in the backfield, or on one of those keepers.
But if that isn't the case, you definitely want this time. And there, once again, another bobbled snap, hands it to Morin, or flips it to Morin as he's coming around from the right. Morin ends up getting tackled at the 20-yard line for a loss of 5. And it goes back to, I just can't imagine that being a Garrett McDowell issue. That snap is continuing to be low and in the ground. And yeah, I guess that's one way to get him ready to go, right? If you want to throw him to the right into the fire.
Start throwing curveballs right off the bat.
Hey, McDowell,
give me the old number 2.
Pick it off the turf and let's see what you got, kid. But it's that's becoming another issue right now for the Hawks. And again, it's more about getting ready for next week and possibly getting ready for Shorecrest, and they need to get that corrected. And they've got 2 minutes to work on that right now.
Tyler McAtee, credited with the tackle.
You seem to say his name a lot tonight,
I think I've said it more than Spencer Schultz's name tonight.
This time McDowell's just going to keep it, run around to the left, cuts it back into the middle, and gets ahead to the 27. Call him down at the 26 now, a gain of 6 yards. McDowell, not a real big guy. He's listed at 5'10", 150, and that might be dripping wet. And well, he is dripping wet right now. It's pouring down rain, so that works, but not exactly a large guy out there running the ball. Not sure Tyler Reinford type, not the type that's going to put down his shoulder and run somebody over. And he's learning to take his licks out there while he's.
That's a tough way to take him when you're already disheartened a little bit with the result. And now you're trying to show yourself and shine under the rain.
Bishop's going to take this one, gets a little bit of space, picks up some speed, and is finally brought down at the 38.
He's impressive. What an impressive runner.
He's had some big games this year. 195 yards against Meadowdale, ran for over 100 yards again last week. He gets better and better with as another one of those players. 3 or 4 games in, you start to see it, and he's got the patience, he's got the legs.
Very patient. He was running to his right, very patient, waiting for the hole to develop, and then explosion.
Yeah, which is ideal for that wing T offense. You want somebody when they're coming off that wing to pick up the speed and to get rolling.
And now the keeper down, another penalty flag, but a first down should the penalty go against Edmonds Woodway. On the ball carrier is Garrett McDowell. And that will be a first down awaiting the call and a hold against the Hawks. We'll bring it back. So a little bit of good, and then the niceties end with the penalty flag.
Just talking to Teresa Whipple as we're getting ready to get our player of the game gathered up. We won't tell you who it is yet, so you need to stick around and watch for the post game. But we are. I'll give you a clue.
I've gone from pencil to pen on my vote for player of the game.
We'll give everybody a clue. It's going to be one of the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. How does that sound?
There you go. the men in white with 40 seconds to go here and a first down and long for the Terrace Hawks.
McDowell once again in shotgun formation. This might be the final play of the game with 28 seconds to go, unless he throws an incomplete pass. And guess what?
Or a pick.
Or a pick, yeah. Incomplete. Ball dropping to the turf, and boy, the rain is really coming down right now. We haven't seen rain like this in a while now, have we?
Not at all. Not in the great Pacific Northwest summer that we've so enjoyed. And I was up here calling a soccer game, I think the first week of the fall athletic season. And it was like coat weather all of a sudden. I don't know where it went. And one day I turned around and it
changes quickly. Well,
we were done.
Just 3 weeks ago we were up here doing a football game with 80-something degree weather, and it's not there anymore. I think we've got to wait 8 or 9 more months for that. McDowell takes another snap, gives it to Bishop, fakes a flip back to Moore and stays with the ball out to the right side, but doesn't find much room. Might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage if we're generous. Might have even lost a yard on the play.
Yeah,
and with
that should do it.
8 seconds to go, that does do it. Edmonds Woodway out on the field hugging. They get their first conference win of the year. Overall record now 2-2 for the Warriors.
And that's a win that Edmonds Woodway really needed to get. All the penalties, all the problems, all the downer talk, both in the stands and amongst the players, can be erased in one good victory against a good team, and one that you had to have. Edmonds Woodway, you can tell, joyous as they get into the lineup, going into the handshakes, and they will certainly take that one into the locker room, and we would hope build on it.
Well, this is a sport that's known for momentum. It's a lot of it's psychological. I mean, if you're a team that is coming into a game with a 2-game losing streak and you've given up a ton of points, struggling to beat teams that I think other folks thought you were going to win to begin with, it's easy to get down on yourself, and the season can slip away very quickly. And give Edmonds Woodway and give Coach Gradwell and his staff a lot of credit. We were all picking against them. My picks in the paper.
I was also.
And not only did I pick against them, I thought this was going to be maybe a 2-touchdown victory for Mountlake Terrace. So for the Warriors to come out, to hold this Mountlake Terrace team to 10 points and to beat them as handily as they did, it was a surprise tonight, quite frankly. And again, you have a coach who's been at this for 20 years, knows not to hit the panic button, probably knows how to push the buttons during practices.
Some different buttons.
And this is not the team that we saw last week against Meadowdale.
Not at all.
Not the team I saw play Kamiak 2 weeks ago.
27-10 the final here at Edmonds District Stadium. Edmonds Woodway Warriors with the win over the crosstown Mountlake Terrace Hawks. And we will be back with our player of the ball game here on the Sound Live Sports Network. In just a moment, we'll take a break.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. 27-10, the final here at Edmonds District Stadium. And our player of the game at the helm of the Edmonds Woodway Warriors, Isaac Jackson, a couple of touchdown passes. And let's just get the elephant out of the room right now. You had struggled the last couple of weeks.
Yes, definitely. We definitely struggled to perform. We hadn't really come together as a family. We were having some team issues. But I really believe that we came together this week. We got their stuff together, and we just came out and we performed. We had a lot of fun.
Your ball had zip on it. You hit two guys wide open, two more that probably could have been touchdown passes that were dropped. Did it just feel as comfortable to you as it looked down there tonight?
Yeah, it really did. I mean, these last few weeks, I came out really stressed, being the next guy up, next new quarterback. And I came out today really calm, sat back in the pocket, and just did my thing.
Talk a little bit about, you mentioned you had some things going on, and then tonight, again, night and day, completely different team. What was worked on? What was talked about? If you can talk about it, don't feel free to keep things to yourself if you have to. But we're curious, just what was going on this week that made you such a different team?
I truly believe it is something not really like physical and playing. It's like emotional, coming together as a family. We had some issues, a lot of fighting, but we came together as a family, came out and just had a lot of fun. I mean, we just had to perform as us. We came together. We played for each other, and not for anyone in the crowd, not for the coaches. We played for each other. And
it now is a wide open game, wide open standings, wide open season for you guys. When a lot of people were frankly saying 0-2, yikes, this is not the Edmonds Woodway team we know. You have got to feel pretty good heading into next week's game against Linwood.
Oh yeah, we're coming out hard.
Steve?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you about. I noticed the last couple of weeks, I thought you were gambling at times. I thought 80% of the game you looked like you were just a solid quarterback, and then you'd make those two or three throws that maybe you forced a little bit or trying to make something happen. Tonight you just looked masterful out there. I mean, is that something that you've kind of focused on a little bit, or have you talked to the coaches about it?
Every week I have goal sets, and I come out and I try to work on a certain sort of specific thing to get better at. And I think one of those things this week was connecting with the receivers, so there's no confusion. We've had some confusion on the team. That's about it, really. We had to connect.
And I've got to commend you too. I've used the Johnny Manziel correlation. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but
multiple people call me Johnny.
I mean, and it's evident. I mean, there's something about the way you scramble. Do you feel like it's instinctive? I mean, does the game, when you're rolling out to the right or the left and you're trying to find space down the field, do you just feel like everything's in slow motion? Because the way you move and the fluidness to it, it's impressive to watch.
To me, it comes pretty natural. I put in a lot of work training in the off season. I have a lot of good coaches. To me, it's just instinct.
And it worked tonight.
One thing I want to hear you describe, and it's not one that I would normally bring up on a player of the game in a win, and that was when you had Nash over the middle in stride and threw an absolutely picture-perfect ball. What goes through a quarterback when that doesn't come to a catch at the end of a play?
It tears you down, but you can't get mad at him. You just got to bounce back. Next play. Get to it.
And he did. He had a heck of a lot of great players. Whitson, of course, with a touchdown pass also.
And when you complete 15 out of 19 passes and you're the starting quarterback and you're the winning quarterback, you often get one of these. So congratulations, Isaac Jackson.
You
are the adrenaline fundraising player of the game as we get a picture. And with the 27-10 victory, you guys are now 1-1 in conference play, as Keith mentioned, and a conference that really is wide open right now. Every game is crucial, and you guys are coming back here for a big game against Linwood next week. Are you going to be ready for that?
Yes, we will. We're going to come out even stronger.
So there you go.
Absolutely
So again, we'll let you get back there, celebrate it with your teammates. Enjoy
you.
tonight. Huge
Thank
win
you.
for you, and make sure you take this with you.
Thank you.
One size fits all. Enjoy that, Isaac, and best of luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, Isaac Jackson, our Adrenaline Sports Player of the Game, Adrenaline Fundraiser Player of the Game, 27-10, the final. And doubleheader next week, Steve. We've got 2. You get to start it off.
Yeah, Mountlake Terrace versus Shorecrest at 5 o'clock, and then you will be doing the Edmonds Woodway Linwood game at 8 o'clock, and you'll have your quarterback again. Isaac Jackson, looking at the stats really quickly, unofficially, 15 for 19, 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also threw in 40 yards of rushing just to keep those stats even
To
more
dot
impressive.
the I.
Yeah, why not, right? And more importantly for him, the stat he really cares about, 27-10 victory.
Absolutely. Gets them right back into the Wesco 3A South Conference. So it's been a wonderful ride here, at least if you're an Edmonds Woodway fan. And then we'll be back next week, and it's a wide open conference. We hope you'll join us starting at 5 o'clock here at Edmonds District Stadium. Steve will have the call, and we'll kick things off a week from tonight. Thanks for being with us again. The final 27-10 Edmonds Woodway over Mountlake Terrace. Have a good night.
Good night.